Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland, and tonight our guest is Chris Lee. He is the author of Life in the Past Lane. You might have heard his wife on here a couple times, Debbie Anderson, a medium. Thank you, Debbie, got me this hookup with her husband here. We're going to be talking about reincarnation. It's been a topic we've discussed lately on this show, and it's definitely one of those ones I think really deeply about because I've had my own personal experiences. You know, I've talked about on the show dreams that I believe were insights into past lives, 2 different past lives. So I'm a total believer. I've never been had regression therapy, and that's what Chris does. He's able to cure ailments just through using regression therapy. And you don't have to believe in past lives for him to help you. That's what's so amazing about what he does. So we're going to talk a lot about that tonight. And, of course, we'll have the phone lines open probably after the second commercial break tonight, so you can call in then. And, of course, we do the World Wide Web Weird every Sunday. And, man, we got some UFO stuff to talk about, man. There's 4 good videos. Now, for people listening on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network, we are a webcast. Check us out at Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup, where we are a webcast you can watch. There are some good videos tonight, I have to admit. You might want to come over and watch. But if you want to just listen, I totally understand. I'm a listener too. All right, guys, let's get rolling into the show. Welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup. As I said before, I'm your host, Jason Bland. Joining me, as always, is my lovely co-host, Jamie D. How you doing tonight, Jamie?
Doing good and really excited for this one. I've been looking forward to it since
Me
Debbie.
too. Oh yeah, me too. Since Debbie said, talked about her husband doing this, I'm like, oh, that's definitely a topic. You gotta hook me up here, Debbie, because I there's so much. To me, it's the biggest clue to what consciousness is. And I have a theory about that. I've mentioned on the show. We'll talk about that. And, of course, from St. Augustine, Florida, Rob Autry himself has joined us in the panel. How you doing tonight, Rob?
Better now that I can be home and relax.
Yes. Rob had some fun, exciting times tonight we won't get into, though. And also, our guest is with us, Mr. Chris Lee himself. How you doing tonight, Chris? Got to unmute there for a second. Not unmuted yet. There we go.
Okay, there. Okay, thanks, Jason, for inviting me on your show.
Yeah, I'm really excited. Like I told you before the show, Chris, if anything you want to jump in on what I'm talking about in these the World Wide Web of Weird, don't be afraid to interrupt me. I love other people's perspectives from different fields in the paranormal to get their point of view. We do have a seasonal story tonight. I'll warn my guests. Isn't paranormal, but it's funny. It's funny, and I hope I don't offend you with the story. It has nothing to do with reincarnation or anything like that. It's just a little raunchy. It's all right. It's still kid-friendly. It involves a kid. We'll get to that in the World Wide Web of Weird. Speaking of that, let's roll into the World Wide Web of Weird. Tonight on the World Wide Web of Weird, we're going to start with we had a story last week we mistakenly called edible babies. It was edited babies. Scientists in China have been able to edit the genes of babies. They did this to help a mother who had HIV give birth to a baby that didn't because of this procedure, modifying their genetics. And there's a lot of controversy about that. Well, guess what? The scientist who claimed this controversial human gene editing is reportedly missing. For those listening on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network, as I mentioned before, we are a webcast on our Facebook page, Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I am hoping I've been looking into going back to YouTube. Maybe I'd love to hear my audience thoughts, but I'd like to do both. I'd like to stream both. There's ways to do it. They cost money. The best ways to do it. So I'm thinking about it. I do want to get us back on YouTube too. That's where we started. But people listening, if you do want to check out, we do have some good stuff. This first one's an article, so if you want to listen, this is a good one from ABC News. We talked last week about the scientist that was able to edit the human gene for a woman to give birth to babies that didn't have HIV like she did. Chinese scientist I butchered it last week, let's just move on from that, has not been seen in public since high-profile presentations last week at an international conference in Hong Kong, in which he claimed to have produced the world's first gene-edited babies, not editable babies, as we said, edited babies, igniting speculation that he has been detained. The Hong Kong newspaper Apple Daily reported he allegedly was escorted back over the border to the high-tech city and research hub of Shenzhen in southern China by Shen Shi, president of his employer, Southern University of Science and Technology, on the campus of which he is possibly being held on house arrest. ABC News has not confirmed he's being held there, though. A spokeswoman from the university's public affairs told ABC News that the school is not answering any questions at the moment regarding He Jiankui. I'm sorry I butchered that. Hopefully he's alive. She refused to confirm or deny reports of his whereabouts. When there's a new information, we'll update the public via the university's official website or WeChat public account. He Jiankui, if I'm getting that right, received worldwide condemnation after he announced on YouTube that twin girls Lula and Nana were born from embryos he had genetically altered to make them more resistant to HIV infection. It was on Wednesday at the Second International Summit of Genome Editing in Hong Kong, where he said he was proud of his achievement. He was due to speak on a panel the following day, but never showed up. Event organizers told ABC News at the time he's not coming today. Within hours, the Chinese Ministry of Science and Technology in Beijing announced it was suspending his research pending an investigation. However, Exu Napi, I don't know how to say that, a vice minister of the Ministry of Science and Technology had seeming already reached a conclusion, telling Chinese state media outlet that his research was extremely abominable in nature and violated Chinese laws and regulation, breached the science and ethics bottom line. And that's what happens in China. You know, they don't just like officially arrest you or do something. No, you just disappear. You just disappear. So who knows? We'll probably never know what happened to this guy. You know, and I said, you know, I can see why people are disturbed by it, but at the same time, he was trying to do something that would have been beneficial, at least to this mother. So I don't think he's a total evil mad scientist, and I don't know. I mean, yeah, maybe we shouldn't play God and mess with genes, but it wasn't like he was going out and doing some, you know, cloning or anything, or making super soldiers, you know, but I guess China's not happy. All right, his social credit score was probably really low. All right, let's move on. Article number 2. This comes from Unexplained Mysteries. Speaking of China, we talked last week as well about, you know, Russia going to the moon, and the head of that agency, can't think of his name, but I've butchered it anyways, jokingly talked about seeing if we had faked the Apollo moon missions. And then, you know, of course, America is all on board now, teaming up with private partners to go to the moon as well. Well, China's too. China to venture to the far side of the moon. China's latest space mission will, for the first time, see a spacecraft attempt to land on the moon's far side, known as Chang'e 4. The missions will attempt to unravel some of the mysteries of the relatively unexplored region of the lunar surface, which remains facing permanently away from Earth. It will launch on December 8th and land at a predetermined site sometime earlier next year. To maintain communication with Earth, a satellite will be used to relay data and messages back and forth. According to reports, the lander will be carrying a payload of seeds and silkworm eggs inside a lunar mini biosphere. If the eggs actually manage to hatch, then they will produce the first living creatures from Earth to have ever been born on another world. I'm just interested to go to the dark side of the moon, you know. If I could play copyrighted music right now, I'd be playing Dark Side of the Moon. But I just want to see them go to the dark side of the moon. They say if there's alien bases there, that's where they would be. And they'd be on the other side where we couldn't see them. I'm just wanting to know. Inquiring minds want to know. Is China? If China discovered anything, would they even tell us? It's not like they're going to be broadcasting it. So, but everybody's talking about going back to the moon. I'm all for it. Come on, we should have done it 30 years ago, 40 years ago. Should have never stopped.
I'm all for it too.
Let's get down to the bottom of this. I do believe we went to the moon. Though I'm not one of those people that thinks we didn't go to the moon. I don't know. I've always felt
I think we did.
All right. let's move on. Since we're talking about the moon and aliens, let's get into the UFO stuff. There's a lot of it, so I don't want to run out of time. Got a great guest tonight. This first one took me surprised because I'm a big Ben Shapiro fan. We don't do politics here, but I like Ben Shapiro. I don't agree with him on everything. Trust me, I don't. But I like the guy, and I like the Daily Wire. And this popped up on the Daily Wire. I thought it was interesting. It's not the first time they've talked about something like this, but I thought it was interesting. Gigantic object spotted towering over Earth from the International Space Station. Then NASA feed cuts out. How many times are we going to cover this kind of thing on the World Wide Web Weird? I don't know. They're here. Wait, that sound familiar? Well, maybe not, but something weird did happen out there. In a video posted online taken from a live feed from NASA's International Space Station, this is from the Daily Wire, a strange object seems to float above Earth. The object blue with a white center appears massive, but NASA's feed is promptly cut short. Reading, please stand by. The UK's Daily Star News reported the high-definition Earth viewing experiment is either switching cameras or we're experiencing a temporary loss of signal with the International Space Station. That's what you always say. Unsurprisingly, the unexpected cut left conspiracy theorists up in arms. One STEM viewer wrote, that was a weird-looking blob next to the space station. Take a look yourself. Oh, that's what they got the link. It isn't the first time International Space Station spotted something odd back in 2013. Man, Daily Wire, do your research, man. It's not just 2013. And keep on going. It's been going on forever.
There's a lot of them all the time, and the first thing they do is just blew it out.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, you do it a couple times, say, well, it's just coincident that it cut out when something weird appeared. But when every time something weird appears that you cut out, we just stop buying that excuse. I really stop buying that excuse. And, yeah, we'll see. There's so much interest in UFOs and, you know, the slight disclosure from the government. You just wonder what's going on. All right. Let's move on. Number 4 here in the World Wide Web of Weird. This comes from Fort Worth, Texas, from the Texas Chronicle. I think this is from Houston. UFO sighting in Texas. Keller residence records mysterious cigar-shaped object in the sky. At first, with a white object in the sky looked like a cloud, weather balloon perhaps. The motionless cigar-shaped object spotted last week in Fort Worth left witnesses stumped, and a video of the sighting has gone viral since, opening the door to UFO theories online. It was the oddest thing I've ever seen, an identified witness said, according to their report to Texas UFO's website that tracks mysterious UFO sightings throughout the state. I watched it for about 20 minutes. It didn't move. I don't think I ever seen anything in the sky stay that still before, not even for a few seconds, let alone 20 minutes. Several people commented on YouTube guessing it could be a blimp. You know, if it was a blimp, it would have moved on after 20 minutes, I would think, but maybe not. However, a Texas UFO minister said they couldn't find any information that a Goodyear blimp was scheduled in the area. And further witnesses said it sat motionless in the sky for about 20 minutes. Similar UFO sightings were reported in Brownsville in August 2016, and I've seen that UFO. I might have had a UFO video up in the World Wide Web Weird. It looks just like this from Texas, similar. Now it's coming around. It gets kind of whited out on my screen here. You can look it up, or you can go to the chronicle.com to find this. Some people say it could be just a stratus cloud or something up there that's just reflecting it in the right spot from the setting sun. I don't know. It is weird that it was there for 20 minutes. And the video probably doesn't do it justice for the eyewitness to see. All right, well, let's move on to the next one. This one I found really, really interesting. This is from the Charlottesville Observer. A UFO on the Outer Banks as a fisherman captures video of lights multiplying over the dark Atlantic. A 90-second video credited to an Outer Banks night fisherman is raising questions on social media about possible UFO sightings off the North Carolina coast. For those listening, you can't see, I know. That's why we're a webcast, too. There are these two lights. You can see the guy's fishing pole. Like, he's just right there on the beach, and you see these two really yellow orangish glowing lights out in the distance, and our screenshot of the video is definitely not doing it justice, so definitely want to check this out at the charlotteobserver.com. You can see these two lights over the water. We're getting a little choppy here on our video, but the lights, there's two other lights that'll appear above it. It should keep playing, Jeff, or did it stop? Looks like it stopped. Getting a little lag on his end, I think, or something. I don't know. But there's two lights that'll appear above it, too. It's really odd. At first I thought, well, maybe it's a boat out in the water, but the two lights are even up higher. And it would seem, you know, what are they doing out there?
That's what I was just thinking, that it might be a ship or something.
I don't know. It's
But
odd.
if there's lights above it, that'd be really weird.
It's odd to me. You know,
It's like headlights.
This was back in, the recording was posted November 29th, but I just lost my notes on this. But I think he took it earlier. was posted on November 29th. That's all they got. Hold on. Oh, no, it was November 13th is when he filled it off a Cape Lookout between 9 and 10 p.m. Around 9 p.m., I rebaited my hooks, cast them out onto the surf, and walked back to my chair. When I turned back to the ocean, I saw the light in the sky. The light was very bright, stationary, and silent. Over the course of the next hour, it faded in and out, as well as sometimes becoming multiple lights. See, there it is. It's multiple lights. Look at that. And it went on for hours. I mean, his video was pretty long, and I guess there's more. I mean, it just kept on going. The lights vanished at one point for nearly 20 minutes, says the post, and then reappeared much closer to my position. It's not the first time someone has reported seeing a UFO off a Cape. I don't know how to say this. Hatteras? I'll probably butcher that. Including.
Exactly.
Is it? Wow, okay. Never heard of it before. Including a 2011 incident in which someone had anchored offshore and said they saw a rectangle of 3 vertical red lights moving together over the ocean. Triangle UFO, that's a good one. I don't know. I thought this one was really weird. I mean, yeah, it could be a ship out there, but in my opinion, I'm not an ocean guy. I have a big lake, but I don't really go to it. I don't like big bodies of water. Is that too high up for a ship, or I don't know. Rob, you spend time on the ocean.
I see shrimp boats and all kinds of stuff, off our coast, and usually, they do have bright spotlights on them, but I mean, they're bright enough where you usually see. The deck of the boat or something. Yeah, I mean, it's lit up if they're out there working. They're not working in the dark, So yeah, that's pretty weird.
I just didn't think it looked like normal ship lights. Or,
yeah,
I don't know. It's weird. I thought that one was pretty interesting. And like I said, you can find that at charlottesobserver.com. All right, this next one, there's not much an article. This one, the only thing I could find was, of course, on Helen's Tale Weebly, and their articles are just pretty much like, here, look, there's a UFO video. Impressive UFO mothership materializes during storm in Australia. This was from December 5th. This was posted. Impressive images captured by an Australian resident, Lee Stevens, on December 3rd. A mothership materializing at the time of a storm, ? Some experts say the ship usually appears constantly during storms where they use portals to reach their destination. Full credit to Lee Stevens, who posted this video. This was weird. I mean, it kind of looks like some Aurora Borealis stuff, and I know the video quality here is not so great. Screen share, like I said, you can get this from helensTaleWeebly.com, or look it up on YouTube. Impressive UFO mothership. It was posted in the last week. I don't know what that is. I really don't. It almost looked like some kind of Aurora Borealis stuff, but this is Australia. I don't know. It is really weird. Is that the moon out there? Is what I couldn't figure out watching the video either.
Is that a lightning storm?
Yeah, it's during a thunderstorm, which I always find UFO videos that are during a thunderstorm pretty interesting. Some people theorize that they draw power from thunderstorms, from the lighting and stuff. I don't know, but this is really odd. You can't even say it's a shape of anything, but this wisp of bright energy. It's like a tear in the universe. That's what it reminds me of.
And it doesn't look like the shadow under a cloud. You don't see any clouds.
And people are saying, these things, they believe they have these portals down in Australia. This is what they look like or something. Well, what's that? What's the big bright light out there? I don't know. This is a weird one. Really weird. It looks like a big tear, like in Doctor Who, and there's like a crack in the wall, when it's in the sky. I don't know. It kind of gives me goosebumps. I don't know. All right, but I want to move on. This last article isn't paranormal. It isn't weird in sense, but I wanted something seasonal, and this one had me laughing in tears when I read it. As a parent, I feel this mother's pain. This is from unlaid.co.uk. Mom sends son to school. And sorry if this offends anybody, but this is a true story. Mom sends son to school with sex doll sheep for nativity play. And this could have been old. I don't know. They could have post the story they've seen circulate, but I still had to read this because it made my butt laugh real bad. All right. This is the writer of this article is Emily Murray. Sometimes I write stories which leave me completely confused, wondering what on earth has happened. And this is one of them, as a mortified mom mistakenly sent her 5-year-old son to school's nativity play with a blow-up sheep sex doll. Yes, you read that right, and yes, I too am left with many, many questions to ask. 46-year-old mom of 2, Helen Cox from Ola, Scotland, decided to shop online for a fancy dress costume of her son, Alfie's nativity play. Alfie, yeah. Seeing a shepherd costume advertised on Amazon for only $16.99, That's a steal. Helen was even more delighted when she realized that the product came with its very own blow-up sheep to complete the look. You know, I have to mention in this article, we had these pictures of Alfie here. I'm like, that can't be the costume, because the costume he's wearing, I mean, he's got a towel wrapped around his head with like a piece of string, and he's wearing like a Lego guy or something, a bathrobe. So I doubt that's the real costume. I don't know. However, when Alfie returned home from school, let's see, yes, so the next part is, however, when Alfie returned home from school, telling his mom a teacher had told him to take the sheep home, Helen was puzzled. Her confusion only grew when, upon blowing up the sheep, she found it had a red lips, eyelashes, and best of all, a huge hole in its bottom. Doing some research, Helen found that the same sheep advertised on Amazon as a naughty inflatable sheep doll with backdoor pleasure hole, perfect for gag gifts. Elsewhere, it was being sold as a stag night bonkin sheep, because apparently that is a theme people want in their lives. Essentially, the sheep sex doll wasn't exactly appropriate for school nativity plays, but that didn't stop Alfie from wanting to keep it. When Helen was blowing up the doll before discovering its true meaning in life, she tried to think of a way to explain to Alfie why he couldn't play with it. It took forever to blow up. I stood there blowing and blowing until the air reaches. I'm just picturing his mother, like the kid, like, blow it up. No, Alfie, no. And this poor mother is like, fine. She hurriedly and popped to stop her back in so it wouldn't deflate. Suddenly spotted the huge hole in the bum. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I told him, you can't have this sheep, Alfie. But he kept on asking why, so I had to make up a reason. I told him it didn't look like a proper sheep because it had a mustache, red lipstick, and a bow on its head. But he still wanted to play with it. I couldn't think of any more reasons why not. And when it came to explaining the hole, Helen told him it was for the sheep's toilet paper. Thought this was a good festive story. There's more to it. Go to unlaid.co.k.
I like at the very end where she says he's probably in his room playing with it.
I was going to get to that. I was getting that. Oh, I was getting that. I was going to read that last thing. Let me read this. This is the last thing he says. You steal the line, Rob.
Sorry,
all right,
man.
see? So this is what she says. She said, he's probably in his room right now stuffing Legos in the hole. I just can't believe it. I don't know whether to laugh or cry. How am I going to explain this to his teachers? I have no idea if they've seen it was a sex toy, and that's why they sent it home. I'm mortified, and I feel your pain as a parent. Oh.
Hey, those inflatable sex sheep, they're not all they're cracked up to be. They're pretty bad.
Oh, jeez.
At least it wasn't used.
Rob. But, if this is a true story, this really happened. They got this little Alfie kid up here. He's adorable. If this is really a true story, that means there's some company out there that put together the little nativity costume. That's what I doubt about it, because you don't see him in a nativity costume. He's wearing a towel on his head with a string and a bathrobe. That can't be a costume, but you really got ripped off. You really got ripped off. But if it was really a nativity costume that was sold on Amazon, anyway, if I had time, I should have done research and seen if I could find it, but I'm sure it's gone now. If they really had this on Amazon and they had this sex sheep doll as an accessory, man, somebody knew what they were doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're gonna sell this for kids, and just we need a sheep blow up doll to go with it. What are we gonna find? Oh, let's buy a bunch of these on sale from this gag store. I don't know, but I have my doubt. Yeah, if you find it, let me know. But that's it for the world. Go ahead.
I just have the vision of the little kid in his room stuffing Legos up the sheep's butt. So.
Just wait, Rob. You knew I was going to get to it. You knew I was going to get to it.
Yeah,
I was saving it for the last.
That part out.
No way. But that's it for the World Wide Web of Weird. We have our guest tonight, Chris Lee. We're going to be talking about reincarnation, past lives. I'm a believer in it. I've talked about it on the show. We've had some great guests on this topic. I think this is going to be one of the best ones we've had on this topic. I am so excited to get into it tonight, because to me, it's the greatest clue to the mysteries of the universe is reincarnation and past life regression. We're getting like a little look into what I believe is the really unexplored territory, is our minds, our souls, where we come from. All right, guys, we'll be back. Listen on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. Go donate, subscribe. We got a lot of great hosts, a lot of great shows. Without you, we wouldn't have this network with all these great hosts. So please donate, subscribe. All right, we'll be back just after this short commercial break.
CS ranging?
240, nominal to profile.
We're in the pipe. 5 by 5.
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, our guest is Chris Lee. Born in Canada, Chris currently lives in Ontario, Canada. He completed his clinical hypnotherapy training in 1995, which only utilized current life therapy. He further developed his expertise by studying the effects of past life regression with clients. As a result, this all evolved into its own unique style of past life regression and progression therapy. By using his technique, Chris found his effectiveness in helping his clients increased from 20% using current life to about 95% using past life. Over the years, he has taken people from all walks of life through thousands of past and future lives. We're going to get into that. This includes medical doctors, nurses, dentists, veterinarians, hospitality workers, lawyers, business owners, teachers, retirees, actors, entertainers, and accountants, etc., etc. His style is very straightforward and does not need medication, operations, or hands-on healing. His aches and pains, fears, phobias, and debilitating emotions are eliminated by utilizing the memories from your subconscious, usually in one session. You do not have to believe in past lives. This is just a healing modality. His mantra is, if you're not sure whether it's your past life or your imagination, but your life improves, then who cares? For the past 23 years, he has been hosting his Journey into Past Lives and Life in the Past Lane talks through Canada's England, Australia, New Zealand, U.S., and Mexico. He's the author of 3 printed of the 6 books in a series called Life in the Past Lane. We have the links in the description of the video. We are going to take phone calls after, I think, the second commercial break, so you can call in. I'll give the numbers out then. But let's get rolling into the show. How you doing tonight, Chris?
Good. How are you, Jason?
Doing good. Glad to finally have you. Me and Jamie both said we've been looking forward and counting down the days since we got you booked to do this show. Because it's one, it's one of our favorite topics. 2, we love Debbie so much. She was such a great guest both times we had her on. And so we knew you were going to be too. So really excited. Thank you, Chris, for joining us. I gave the introduction of you tonight, but tell people, how did this happen to you? How did you get involved in it?
That's half my talk. And that's half my talk. I forgot about that. Yes, thank you for the introduction. You guys are smooth talkers there.
Oh, not really.
Good.
You'll do much better. Tell us the story of how you got involved in past life regression.
Pardon me. Well, basically, the first question I like to ask people, I do my talk. It's about a 2-hour talk, and I've done this in, like you said, 6 countries, over 220 times. When I do my talk, I explain, first of all, what hypnosis isn't and what my system does. And I have found from doing a lot of stats, I'm mathematical, that 84% of the people that come to a talk end up booking a session. Unless they've been there before, the percentage that book before I get there is usually like 0 because of that fear of hypnosis. But the main thing I like to start off when I do my talks is just simply put out the question, if you could eliminate. The word is eliminate. I can't cure, that's a medical term. Eliminate. If I could eliminate your aches, pain, persistent, well, I'm talking about persistent, not just an occasional fall down a flight of stairs type thing.
Right.
And if I could eliminate your aches, pains, fears, phobias, debilitating emotions, which include things like anger, my mind just went. Okay, anger, the confusion, stuck lives, guilt, that type of thing. And again, no medication, no surgery, and no ongoing therapy. Would that be of interest to people?
Heck yeah. It's an interest to me. I was asking you before the show, you ever come to Chicago? Because if you are, I want to know.
Actually, I looked it up. You're only 3.5 hours away from me.
Really? I've always wanted to go to Canada. I'm
In fact,
serious.
for me, from where I am to go to Toronto is 4 hours, so you're closer to me. I'm just across the river from Detroit.
Oh,
People
okay.
mention Detroit, uh, or if I mention that, then they go, "Oh yeah, I know where you are," sort of thing. But again, I eliminate all these things. What percent of the world do you think have any of these concerns?
Everyone. 100%.
It's about 90%, 95%. In fact, what's interesting, I do get people that say, do you ever have people come to you that say they have no problems, no concerns, they just want to be nosy about it? And I say, well, let's start off by finding out why you're so perfect.
Right. I like to know what you're taking.
Yeah. But every single one that has ever happened, it's only been maybe 20 out of thousands. Within 5 minutes, I have at least 5 things on their list of stuff that they didn't realize, because a lot of people are stuck with. One guy was cracking his knuckles while he was talking to me, and that really is annoying to me. So I said, how long have you been doing that? And it's typical. He said, doing what? You know, a lot of people do something like that all the time. They don't notice it. Turned out, yes, that he had been in a dungeon and they had cut his fingers off.
Now,
And
every time I crack my
unfortunately,
knuckles, I'm going to think about that because I do a lot.
cracking knuckles is a past life thing. All he was doing, without realizing it, by cracking his knuckles, his subconscious was showing him that his fingers were still there.
That's a bit
all it-
disturbing. That's a bit
Wow.
disturbing.
One lady came in one time for a session, and she was clearing her throat continually. And after about 5 minutes of this, I was going, "How long have you been doing this?" And she said, "What?" And I said, "Clearing your throat." I said, "Oh, I'm used to it." She said, "I've been doing it for about 30, 40 years. And she said, "It does bother some people." So I said, "Is this on your list of things that you want to take a look at?" And she goes, "Never thought of that, because there's so many things." So I said, let's take a moment, because in a session, I can go to 2 to 5 different past lives. It's not like it's come in once a week for the next 2 years and learn, and not work. It's very quick. So I said, let your subconscious show you why you have that persistent cough. Turned out she saw herself within moments, in your mind's eye, eyes are closed. She could see herself in Pompeii. Remember where they
Oh,
had the
geez,
volcano?
yeah. The ash.
Yeah, and most of the people did not die from the heat. It was the ash. They just couldn't breathe. That's why they do find a lot of the bodies still intact. But what happened was, it was interesting that when she saw it, she stopped. And she left with clear throat. Says, "This feels so nice." I said, "Yes," because a lot of people think they're stuck with their aches and pains and stuff. They're not. One thing I like to point out really quickly to people is I'm not a past life reader. I don't tell you, "Hey, Jason, oh, I'm good at this. You were a gypsy in a past life." Well, for me, that's like, who cares? How is that going to help you? Is that going to get rid of? I might show you why you might dance better, dance like a gypsy, but it's not going to help you. I don't do reading. There's 2 reasons why I won't tell you what you did in past life. One of them is I haven't got a clue. Second is it's not going to help you. You have to see it to let it go. So, but basically, like you had said, when I took my training 23 years ago and counting, there was 24 of us in class. And what happened was, it's just basic hypnotherapy. In fact, there's lots of schools out there that teach that. And it's not very effective, because I'd say 95% of your concerns are past life. And if you're dealing in a modality that only deals in current life, it's not going to work. So what happened, though, is during the course, the head teacher said, somebody must have asked him, anybody interested in seeing a past life demonstration? Now, typical male, that's why I don't get as many males often at talks, because they're skeptical and it doesn't make sense, and they only go, a lot of them go because they got dragged there. Yet a high percentage of them end up taking a session because they realize that it doesn't really matter if you think you made it up. But anyhow, so somebody had asked the teacher, anybody want to see a past life demonstration? So, 24 hands went up.
I would be like that.
He said, who wants to volunteer? 24 hands came down. It wasn't for fear. It's just we wanted to watch it. Now, I was not sure about this, but I've got an open mind. And I know there had to be something else. I mean, I grew up strict religion, and by the time I got to, mid-teens, I realized it was easier to sleep at home than in a church pew. And so I said, okay, I'm ready. So what happened was that we all bantered like, you go up, you go up, you go up. And finally Hugo went up. That was a joke. I give out virtual cookies for those that laugh at the right time. And in my talks, I do a lot of humor because it sinks in. It is not a lecture. A lecture is that, like falling asleep, that kind of
Like
thing.
Bueller.
So anyhow, sorry?
Like Bueller, Ferris Bueller. No.
Yes, I remember that one. So what happened was is that one of the girls went up. Now I have my big notebook out and I'm ready to take notes. What he did, he slowed her down and he took her back. She described, because you're there all the time, you don't disappear. There's no la la land. You don't float away. You're there all the time. So what happened was she described being a boy about the age of 10 in the States in the 1930s, playing on train tracks in the train yards. A lot of people have done that. Now, in that era, they already had electric switches. And unfortunately, the switch caught the boy's foot, and because the train was coming, and did run over him and kill him. When I'm doing this in a talk, you get people go, "Oh no!" I said, "Don't worry, he came back." Anyhow, so I went, "Wow, this is interesting," because it's like, interesting. So then he regressed her to World War II in London, England, as a female, because in past lives we've been both genders, not at the same time, of course, and it was during a bombing raid, obviously World War II, and I went, wow. Now, the big thing, Jason, that really got me is that the next day at class, the girl came in and said, "Hey, guys, I've always wondered why I hated trains and thunder." And a lot of us went, ooh. But the big thing that got me into going into the past life thing, she said, it's gone. Seeing it, it disappears. Had this all her life. Not like she was really old, but a lot of time, we're not always born with our concerns. Sometimes they pop up later. But either way, most people, when they see me, have had their concerns for a long, long, long time.
I get the phobia part. Would come up a lot with the past life regression. What I find amazing is when it like actually cures pain and ailments, that people have. Not cures, sorry. What's the word? Not cures for people listening. Not cures. Eliminates. Yes.
Yes. Perfect word. Disappears. And yeah. Well, basically, again, fears and phobias, aches and pain. Nowadays, I can't believe how many kids have allergies and stuff for that.
Oh yeah,
it's nuts in that. We never had that stuff when we were kids. I mean, the slight chance that the is it GMO? It might have
and geoengineering. Yeah.
I
think it's a big part of it.
Stuff. So anyhow, I finished my program and got my certificate as a clinical hypnotherapist. This is the opposite of hypnotist. I'll explain that in a moment. Hypnotists are people that do shows and amusement. I'll explain that in a moment. But when I got out and started my practice, now this is what I find interesting, is that, and doctors do it too, they have a practice. Doesn't it sound like you should know what you're doing? Rather, why are you practicing?
Because they're practicing on you.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I always think.
And charging you too. But what happened was I did find that that you can always learn something. In fact, I learned something interesting not too long ago. What would you do, Jason, if your clothes were on fire?
Stop, drop, and roll.
Jason, I hear that a lot. But if my clothes were on fire, I wouldn't put them on. That was a 5-year-old girl from an old show before your time called Kids Do the Darndest Things, Art Linklater. But anyhow, I like you doing a bit of humor. I found that then doing my practice out where I'd set up in this small city, that the effectiveness again was only about 20-25%. That's not very good. So in a group, I always say, shake your head. No, it's not very good. Yeah. What I decided to do is to start practicing and studying on past life. Now, there is no schools at that time. In fact, well, it's because I train now. But what happened was I started reading authors and practicing. I had my volunteers, and I found, hey, that works. So I decided to start using it with my clients. And I found something amazing happened. The effectiveness is about 95%. That's a big change. Then I ask people in the audience, but there is a downside to being 95% effective. What do you think it might be, Jason?
I don't know if you're 95% effective. You're beating the medical field. So
But what's a good point. But a lot of people say, oh, the 5%, because they can figure it. And I say, no, the effectiveness, the downside is you don't have a lot of repeat clients.
that is a downside, especially since you
Yeah.
only really do one session, right?
Yeah, one or two. Well, two if they have a list this long, which a lady in Australia had
I'm
32
not-
items typed
Oh,
out on her sheet.
jeez. So what do? You
Could've
go
written-
write down all your, phobias, pains, stuff
Yeah.
that you think might be an issue.
Well, what I do is that when people, if they decide they'd like to have a session, I give them a sheet. It's a questionnaire, but you do list down your aches and pains. But I don't give it to them at the beginning because they don't know what I could take care of. But yes, and then when we do a session, usually we'll find a couple more things, or I'll be working on somebody with a pain in the shoulder, and they'll say, "Oh, wait a minute, that life also." I got stabbed on the right leg, and wait, I have a pain there too. Not as much. It does take care of other odds and ends too. So anyhow, I realized that it didn't take me long to wipe out the people in my area because it was, you only see only so many people, mind you. When you really think about it, if you do about 20, I work with about 20 people per week, you can make a living doing this. And how hard is it to find 20 people with aches and pains? Not difficult at all.
No.
So
Billions and
so I
billions of
started making-
dollars go into that industry.
Well, I help people get rid of the fear of success too. So now what happened is that I started off doing some workshops, but I found workshops weren't working that well because when I work with a group, I have to give general directions like to close your eyes, slow down, because when you slow down, you're more relaxed. It's easier to get to your memories. And what happened is that I couldn't say to each one at a time, what are you seeing? Because you hear each other. So I had to do more generic. The only interesting thing I did find that happened with workshops, and I only did a few of them, was that we found that when we chatted in between, often in one of the past lives, the group is say 20, 3 or 4 of them were in the same past life.
Now, did they know each other before they met at the thing?
No, that's what I was just waiting for to catch on.
That's
They
crazy.
did not know each other. Yeah, it's just to do with soul groups. Now, I don't get heavy into the metaphysical type words and stuff for that because, like with men, we like to keep things simple. So I don't get into that type of thing. Keep it simple. But we apparently, and from reading a lot of the books, I do find that a lot of the stuff works and stuff for that. Why it works, when I'm doing a talk and somebody hits me with a real complicated question, my common answer is something simple. It's called, I don't know. Because I don't know all that or really want to get into it. I do know how to get rid of your aches, pains, fears, and phobias, and gives you a better quality of life. Like one of the longest pains a person had was a lady in Australia. She had come in to see me at 58, and she had a pain in her left knee, behind her left knee, for 55 years. Started when she was 3. And now it wasn't, needing a cane or anything, but she could never go for long walks without taking 2 or 3 rests while she was walking. And in a nutshell, when we saw where it came from, which showed up in her mind as being a 3-year-old girl in 1802 in England, she had polio in her left knee. Yes. And in those days, of course, it was contagious. So they used to have wards in hospital just for the polio people and just left them there to die. But what happened was that because of the pain, they had elevated her leg about 45 degrees, with the thing holding it up. And because she was growing, the knee started coming down. The leg came down and bending at the knee, which caused the pressure behind the left knee, which is where her pain was. Now, I talked to her not too long ago, but it's been over 4 years and the pain never came back.
Wow. See,
That's
you make me want to do this so bad. I mentioned on the show, that I've never had this done. It's definitely something I really want to do. And the reason I say that is about 4 years ago, I did do like something with I work retail and I was doing a mannequin. I did like do something with my shoulder a little bit, but it didn't really hurt that bad. It just felt like I pulled something. But like a month or 2 later, I started getting like just my neck, this area, and pain. It shoots down my arm, and I still do. And I've gone to the doctor, chiropractor. None of them can really explain. Say, oh, you have moderate arthritis. and the weather definitely affects it, but it hurts. I mean, only thing saving me, and here's a plug for it, CBD, it's legal in Indiana, is helping me. That's the only thing that helps me. But when you talk about it, it makes me wonder. And for her, she was 3 years old when the symptoms started, and she was 3 year old in the past life when she died, right?
Yes.
So
And to coordinate it a little bit is that in that life, apparently when we're energy. We're actually normally energy. We come into the human form to learn lessons because human body can feel aches and pains. Energy doesn't. That's one of the reasons apparently we come in. But what happened is that if we are really having a life that we got into that is not going anywhere, we can actually will ourselves to die. And she died, that scene that we had seen, she died about a week later. Heart stopped.
That's so sad.
What happened was in the current life, at 3 years old, she actually died. Her heart stopped right for no reason whatsoever. Luckily, somebody in the house had medical training, and they revived her and took her to the hospital. And within a week, that pain started.
So they don't know why her heart stopped.
No.
I know somebody that had that happen to them too. My first girlfriend, when she was about that same age, they never knew why, but her heart stopped. She remembered floating above her body, and she was just like 3 or 4. It was like one of her earliest memories. She remembered it all, but they never knew why. That's, as a parent, that's a terrifying. I felt for her as a parent now. I feel for her parents that went through that. You don't know why your kid had that happen. But my question is, so it started with her 3. You find it common for when these things start with people? It could have been, like for me, it happened 4 years ago. Somewhere in a past life when I was 35, I got my neck chopped off or something, or something happened to that area, and that's why it starts.
No, it's not totally the same age. Okay. Sometimes it can be, but sometimes it's just you triggered a pain that like just something you triggered, and it reminded your body of the other one. Here's a good example, is that when I work with my client, I give them a headset to put on, and there's some, boring music into it, so it helps slow them down a bit. And I don't hear it, so I don't need it. I talk to them through a microphone, so even though they're right in front of me, it keeps out other noises, et cetera, et cetera. So I set the sound to be very low, but I also do a sound check because everybody's got different hearing. So I said, "How's the music level?" And she said, "What music?" So I said, "Oh." So I turned it up a bit more. Still nothing. Turned it up about 3 or 4 times. Finally, she said, "Oh, so it's good." It was like about 3 times higher than I normally set it.
Oh, wow.
I said, using very, very clever observation, I said, "You have a problem with your hearing, don't you?" She said, "Yes." Now, she was 35, and she said since she was about 15, this is what happened. And I said, "Okay, is it on your list?" Of course not, because she wouldn't know that this is something that you can fix. So in this session, I said, "Let's let your subconscious take you back to the cause." That's how simple this is. I don't see it. I don't tell it. I just simply, you give me the list, and I say, "Okay, we're going to this one." Okay. When I snap my fingers, let your subconscious take you back to the cause of why you have the poor hearing. One thing nice about my system is that your subconscious is like a computer. It is so clever. When I say go back to correct past life, it doesn't show you 3 or 4 and say pick one you like. It only goes always 100% to the exact life, because that's what you're being affected from. But to make it a longer story, even longer, no shorter, is that what it is that she had been too close to a rifle going off. Mom and Dad trying to kill a rat in the house. It was an old dilapidated house, and she was nosy. And then she quickly added, "And I'm nosy in this life too." Sometimes common emotions or traits. So she came around the corner, rifle went off, and it deafened her in that ear for a lot of that life. So what happens is that when people see where it comes from, and I'll explain it shortly, it seems to let it go.
The
interesting thing is what she said to me, and that okay, one thing I do like about what I do, I've done thousands of these, and they're never the same. That's what makes it interesting. I never know where they're going to go. I never assume. I never predict, because it'll never be. She said, as soon as she had seen that, she said, "Turn the music down."
Because it was really loud. Wow.
Yeah,
so as soon as she came out of it.
Yeah, as soon as she saw that, because because you don't, like, you're still there in the session, because I take care of 3 or 4 or 5 things, but I just went, whoa. And that's in actually, I managed to hold that up in time to put it into the Aches and Pains book, because it was just fantastic. And hearing, yes, people get tinnitus. Now here's how, I should really back up to explain how my system really works. Yeah, the red book that you see there isn't quite ready. It'll be ready this winter when we're vacationing in a warmer place.
I definitely got to get. I want to get these books because it so interests me. Like I said, I think this is like it's such. I mean, like you say, you don't get metaphysical. You don't think about. You don't. You just you work with the clients and you eliminate these problems. You don't get too deep into the metaphysical, but you are, to me, are getting glimpses into the nature of the universe and us.
Because these books are not how to and what to do. They're just case histories, but what happens is I get people that go through them and go, oh, I never thought of that. I've got that problem. I should take a look at that. I've got that thing that Chris calls, what do you call it, turtleneck syndrome. That's a little name I gave to it. About 40% of the world cannot wear stuff around their neck or have people touch their neck. And it's because they've been hung, beheaded, or strangled. And when they're finished the session, you could touch them. Even a lady, earlier this year, she's 29. All her life, she could not have anybody touch her. She let her mom do it. That's about all. Nobody could touch her. Awful. She's been fine since the session. In fact, she even now forgets about it, like that she even had it. It just turned out that in a past life, unfortunately, she'd been raped gang raped in a past life, 400 years earlier. But you see, what happens is that when we don't finish a life lesson, our body cells drag along what happened, the cause. And so as soon as she saw that and realized it's nothing to do with this life, she let it go. So I'm still trying to get back to how my stuff works. One of the main things I like to point out is that your mind is made up of two things. Do you know what they are?
Conscious, subconscious.
Perfect. You get a cookie, virtual cookie. For some people, it's the unconscious, but anyhow, I still get people say left brain, right, and I say no, the mind. Now, the conscious part of your mind, Jason, is actually only about 5% of your mind. 95, obviously, is the balance, is your subconscious. Your subconscious is the most powerful storage computer in the world. They'll never build anything that can hold as much as it does. If you've had 10 past lives, if you had 10,000 or 2,000 or 3,000 past lives, which happens, they're all in there. In fact, even your current life, I can take you back to so you can watch yourself being born. So it's all
don't want to see. I don't want to see that. That's fine.
No. Well, that was bad. More for this woman was adopted. Just want to know what her real birth date.
I get you.
Was. Yeah. So anyhow, backing up. So what happened is that the conscious part of your mind, it came with the body. It's like, can't get rid of it. It's really a processor. It's never been to a past life, hasn't got a clue about past lives. But unfortunately, it's got an ego problem. I like to think it's clever. It also bounces around about 3 times faster than the subconscious. They've got measurement somehow. Well, I mean, you can do MRIs. You know that your brain gives off wavelengths.
Well, how fast the neurons are firing, basically.
Yeah, something like that. Or whether you have to duck or not. Anyhow, what happened is that when you work in hypnosis is just deep relaxation. I slow you down. When you're slowed down, remember when you tried driving maybe years ago when they had mostly standards and you grind the gears because you don't slow down the clutch. So that's what happened. Now what happened is that the conscious likes to guess and gets in the way. The subconscious is very quiet but very powerful. It has all the memories. So now what happened is that it's amazing how the conscious gets in the way. They actually, when we're born, our conscious and subconscious are together till about the age of 7 or 8. That's why kids under 7 or 8 can have imaginary friends, see things that aren't there. They're actually seeing the energies and stuff like that. Of course, as unwell-meaning parents, we say, no such thing, that it'll go away. We should really be saying to them, describe them.
That's what I do.
Maybe Yeah, maybe they buried treasure somewhere. All of a sudden now you got a vacation
Right.
down in the Caribbean, with scuba gear and stuff like that. But around 7 or 8, it does start to lose that because the conscious starts spinning faster and starts taking over, and that doesn't make any sense. And let's screw it up as usual, and we should be gone with our gut feeling, that type of thing. So now what happened is that when people, I really push this now, more so in the last few years at my talks, is that you do not have to believe in past life for my system to work. You can think you made it up. If you think you made it up, but your pain goes away, which it will, like you just said about my mantra, who cares? It'll still disappear.
If it works, who cares, right?
Yeah. Now, a good example, though, if somebody says, I think, I've had people finish the sentence, I think I made it all up. And I'll say, well, stand up now. And they go, wow, I haven't stood up this straight for 12 years. Well, did you make it up or is it past life? I'm not sure. Who cares? But the point is that when people say they make it up, I subtly remind them, we're not clever enough. Think of the logic. Your conscious doesn't have a memory. It has a slight memory. It stores whatever you did today. That's why we have to sleep to drop it down. But it doesn't have a memory. So if you're in a session and I said, what year is this scene that you're doing? And you say to yourself, I'm going to make this up. I'll say 1841. Where does it get the 1841 from? From the subconscious.
Because you had to pull it from somewhere. I'm going to pick a random number. Here we go.
Yeah. But the thing is, Jason, your subconscious doesn't play games. It's very literal. It'll give you the correct answers. It would be 1841. So you think you made it up, who cares? So I do remind people, if you think you made it up, but it works, it doesn't matter. But like I said, once I'd seen all this, and I know there is past lives. Our body cells have memories, as I mentioned before. Our energy comes into the body, and it brings it along, and it's stored into the memories, and that's why you get the aches or pains out of the nowhere. But actually, interesting, the AMA, American Medical Association, has delivered their findings last year, which I'm making use of, is that they've proven that people with organ transplants are getting the traits of the person. Like one guy hated pizza, now he loved pizza. I just say make sure you don't get an organ from a serial killer or something.
Well, yeah. Well, there's the one guy who got, I forgot what the organ was that he got. It might have been a heart transplant. I don't know. But the guy he got it from had killed himself. And then he ends up marrying the woman of the guy he got the transplant from, this poor woman. And then he kills himself. So he gets the heart, falls in love with the woman from the previous guy. I mean, it's a true story. Look it up, people. It's real. Yeah. And I think that's just that's got to tell us something. I don't know what, but it's got to tell us something. It's really sad, but yeah.
Well, there's one good thing that body cells hold. It's music. Everybody's got a tune from the past. When you hear it, you go, wow, I remember that song. Nobody goes, that's exciting. Oh, it's really nice. And people don't realize you got a trigger. Getting me down one day, put your tune on. So I do give triggers for people, improve their confidence by having them grab a confident past life and into their current body cells and a number of things, talents, and that kind of stuff. So,
well, somebody was a piano player, but they're not now. But they picked up on a memory from that. Would that give them a little bit better? They'd be a quick learner.
Yeah. I've seen both cases. There's one woman she wanted to know. Like some people ask specifically. I had one the other day that said she wanted to know why she likes the piano, but can she improve? Sure enough, she saw herself in a past life playing honky-tonk piano, and since then he's improved that style over this other stuff he was being forced to learn, which was the classical. It's nice, but he liked the honky-tonk. But what happened is that this one lady, she said, I'd like to, if it's a general thing, I'll say that your subconscious show you a talented past life that you could make use of in your current life, and significant point, then let it go. And I love that even more, because it's like totally who knows what's going to happen, as opposed to arm broken or something. So she saw herself playing Spanish guitar. And what happened was I'd seen her about a year later, and she said that she took lessons and she can play the guitar so great. I said, yes, you played it before. The reason why she didn't play is that she had a religious family that they're supposed to be working, no music, no no dancing, that kind of stuff. But on the other hand, that same lady that I just described that had the pain in her knee, she's also an artist. So we also saw an artist path life that she can improve on. And this is like 3-4 years later. And she said she can't keep up to her business of digital art and photography because she improved it from there. Add more styles to it. So yes, it can help people find past life. Usually don't get to too many of the talents because most people come in with so many aches and pains. Let's get rid of them first. But that kind of stuff. Now, back to finishing a little bit more. When people say it's their imagination, okay, I have a little test, and I'm going to do it with you right now, and maybe all the people listening, I'm sure there's millions, is that I want everybody to close their eyes. I want everybody to close your eyes. Yes, I can see you. Now, take a big deep breath, Jason. And exhale. Now, in your mind's eye, I want you to see or sense or visualize any one of those. A lemon. A big, bright, sour, juicy lemon. Then see yourself cutting it up and taking a bite of one of those pieces of sour lemon. Chewing it. Feel that texture. Swallowing it. Now, still more lemon. Try one more piece of that lemon. Now, I can see you're already reacting. If I have a group of 20 people, about 17 of them will be, well, in fact, some of them are already making faces at me. Don't open your eyes. And the rest are polite. About 17 out of 20, their mouth will water. The other three, usually it's because lemons wasn't that exciting. I can always find them. In fact, one time this lady, she wanted to prove it. She said, I didn't have my mouth water. I said, what's your favorite dessert? Now, there was about 25, 30 people that day in that group. She said, pumpkin pie. So I said, close your eyes. We all stared at her. I said, picture in your mind's eye getting a nice piece of warm pumpkin pie with whipped cream on it. Now, the lady had come with another lady, and that lady next to her was passing her a tissue because this woman with the pumpkin pie was starting to wipe her mouth. She was drooling. So it didn't really matter. The lemon, whatever. The point I make with these people, the mouth waters, is that your body's reacting. There's no lemon in your mouth, or no lime in, there's no lemon in your mouth. What is it reacting to? It's reacting to a memory. Ah, good. She gets a cookie too.
It's like Pavlov's dog, they hear the bell or whatever he used and they start to have saliva.
So what I'm leading to is that I guarantee you 100% that your mouth will never water if you have never, ever tasted a lemon. It's reacting to a memory. Therefore, you can't imagine what it's going to taste like to make your mouth water. It just won't happen. So, therefore, there isn't any imagination. You actually are pulling memories that you just didn't know about. Now, whether it's past life or not, you might have 1,000 past lives. I bet you can pull some memories for when people think they make up inventions or stuff like that. But anyhow, so that's why I tell people that you cannot imagine the taste of a lemon unless you've tasted it. Or you think, I'll think of a lemon. Well, that's a different memory.
Real quick, Chris. Oh, and there you come back. You were frozen for a good minute there. Making sure we're losing signal, but we heard you fine. Well, so I just want to make sure we're not losing you.
Well, it's about, in Fahrenheit, only 26, so that's freezing. Well, your temperature would be similar. You're actually about the same latitude as me.
Yeah. No, it's cold here. It's about the same.
Where we are, it's just outside of Windsor. It's actually the most southerly part of Canada. It actually dips down, and it's down in the same latitude as Northern California. So we do get a little bit less snow here and that type of stuff. So that's why we picked it. And in fact, ironically, is that nobody in Detroit. I lost. Where am I? I'm in some country. I figure where I am. Detroit. Nobody in Detroit can ever say to us, "How's the weather up there?" Because they're actually northwest of us. We come around underneath it. So anyhow, I'm babbling away. So we're about the same latitude as you. Now, here's the thing. Back to the imagination. Now, my system works on what I call the unknown noise. Very simple system, the unknown noise. So here's another word picture I want you to do. You don't have to close your eyes. All right. Picture, everybody out in the audience, picture that you're living alone. It's a dark, spooky, windy night. And the wind's howling. When I'm doing groups, always 2 or 3 people howl. So, sound effects. I give them a cookie for that. And Middle of the night, there's a crash, and you jump up and go, "What the is that?" Being polite there, censored. And you hear it again, you realize that it's just the wind blowing a branch against the window. I don't know about you, but if it's not going to break, I'd go back to sleep. Later that night, there's another crash, different sound. You jump up and go, "What the is that?" Hear it again, it's like, "I don't know what that is. Sounds scary, sounds spooky. Somebody coming to kill me, somebody going to break in, boogeyman." That's when you can go a little silly. Now, most people, unless they go check it out, resort to childhood where you pull up your bulletproof covers and try and get some protection and sleep, which doesn't work. Now, still a bit more of the story. Yeah, get up in the morning, go into work, didn't sleep well, wind's still howling. You go out the door and you hear that noise, and it's to your left. You quickly turn and look, and you realize it's just the neighbor's got a new metal garbage can, and it's been blowing in the wind. And that sounds like a song. Anyhow, so what happened is that you're going to make a profound statement and comments about the stupid neighbor. And the profound statement is, "It's a garbage can." The next night, you're in bed, another dark, spooky, windy night, wind's howling, garbage can blows over. It's a 50-50 that you don't even wake up. But if you do, you're going to make that profound statement, which is,
It's just a garbage can.
It's the garbage
yeah,
can.
Right.
stupid garbage can, and the stupid neighbor. Now, there's a point here. The noise is the same both nights. Why doesn't it bother the second night?
Because you know what it is.
'Cause you're
Perfect
aware.
answer. Yes, I like keeping it simple. I get people say, "Because you got a memory." Oh, keep it simple. You know what it is. Okay. Now, unless you feel the garbage cans are coming to kill you, you would let it go. Did you have to hold the garbage can? Did somebody have to hit you with it? You just had to see it. There's where my system works in. Telling you you're a gypsy, whoopee-doo. Or if I was to tell you, "Oh, wait, Jason, you tell me about this noise. Hey, I bet you it's a garbage can. I'm clever. I know it's a garbage can." Well, I don't know about you, but the second night I'd be going, "How does he really know? He doesn't live here." I'm going to peek out the window. It's a garbage can. We are an animal likes to see to believe. And that's how the whole system works. That is why the person with the sound, the hearing, saw where it came from, had nothing to do with this life. It disappears. Exactly why. What's my normal answer?
Who cares?
I don't know. No.
Or I don't know.
I don't know, but I know how to make it work.
Answer number two.
So
Sorry.
Yeah. But you see, apparently, again, from reading, in fact, Michael Newton's books, Life Between Lives, and his other one, both, they're quite thick books and interesting. And what they describe is that when we don't, okay, backing up a bit more. Apparently, we have a soul group. You ever heard of soul groups?
Yes.
Yeah. Often in a crowd, I'll say, "Who's got a soulmate?" And always two or three, I'm trying to be polite, the twits put their hand up. And I'll say, "You don't. We have a soul group." But in the group, you might be with someone more often. But we have a group. How big the groups are, it varies per se. But whatever size your group is, it's always been that size. Now, what happened is apparently, again, not there 100%, but when you've seen over 10,000 of them, there might be something there. What happened was we come into the human form to learn lessons, okay? Think of it like a play. It's not a chick flick, so there's always a bad guy, a good guy. It's your turn to be the bad guy. And we're supposed to learn. We know what, it's usually just one or two words that you got to learn, like self-love or patience or some of those things. When you come into the human form, apparently we totally forget what it is. That's the way the body's designed, but also for logic. If you knew what the lesson was, and you had the script in your hand, what would you really learn? Oh, today I got to do this, this, and this. Oh, boring. So they leave it up to what's called free will. And we're good at that. And that's also why we screw up stuff. So when people say, and also, if you want to know what your life lesson is, I cannot help you. It will never show up. Past lives will, current life, but your lesson, no. Because again, how would you learn if you knew what it was? So what happened though is that if you, when people say, well, what should I do to do my life lesson? I'll just simply say, use your intuition or gut feeling. Women are clever. They have a thing called women's intuition. Any women out there know what I'm talking about?
There's only one in this panel, but
I'm waiting for the answer. But yes, women are good. Women's into it. Now, us men, we don't have that. We have gut feeling. We got gut feeling. But that doesn't make sense. They'll think, oh, just try to use logic and screw it up again. In fact, it's really funny. There was an article I read a few years ago. I have to find it again. All the world's richest men became rich by gut feeling, no logic whatsoever. But feels right because that's your other people in your soul that aren't in the human form going, don't go down that street, you're going to get killed. Go down the other one and just get hurt. Sometimes people say, oh, if I hadn't gone down the street, I wouldn't have got in that accident and got a sore leg. Well, how do you know if you didn't go down the other street you thought? Maybe you get run over and killed. So always make the best of anything. There's so many lessons you can learn, but never go the negative. Just say to yourself, at least I won't do that again. You always can learn something from it. Now, if you don't finish your life lesson, you do have to come back and unfortunately bring along the ache and pain that occurred with it. That's what I help get rid of.
those ache and pains follow you because they're from those other past lives, because they're still lessons you have to learn.
Yeah, you haven't finished with. Yeah, the lessons you haven't finished with. If you finished that life lesson, that you wouldn't have the ache or pain because that lesson would actually be totally done with. But that's why when I say go to the correct past life that caused your pain, you don't always go to one because there is one. You hadn't finished. But if I like reading, this one girl came to me a couple years ago. She said that she had, actually going to back up. We'll see how your audience is on this one. I have worked with fears and phobias. I have had people eliminate 131 different fears and phobias. A lot of them are ones of, like a blimp or something. The 5 most common fears and phobias, what do you think they are?
Well, I have one of them, I'm sure, is fear of drowning. I have fear of water.
I was just going to say drowning.
Yeah, that's number 2. No.
Fear of heights.
Yes, that's number 1.
Wow.
Okay, I'll help you. Yeah, claustrophobia.
Claustrophobia, there is a good one.
Fear of success.
Fear of success.
Yes. Sounds a little bit different, but it comes from the same correction. And actually, the 5th one is snakes and spiders.
Snakes is my other one. I almost said snakes because that's my other one. Rob knows.
I put that together, but actually the snakes are just a little bit higher than spiders. But there's this.
Mine's snakes. Spiders, no. Snakes, yes.
Like I don't have a fear of snakes, but I have respect for them. Like I'm not afraid of them, but I'm not going to play with them either.
Heck
Hello, no. Let's not push our luck. But it's just like heights. Heights is the most common one. And,
I can see that.
Yeah, but I mean, again, okay, speaking of how I help people with their fears, I think I went from another one, didn't I? But anyhow, fear of heights is number 1. Oh, okay, I know where I was. Remind me about the deep water. This one guy came to me, he's in his 30s. He said that he's had a strong fear of heights. And he said, I listened to people's advice. I went and faced my fears. Let me tell you what I think about that. It's a waste of time. Face your fears. It's like taking an aspirin for a stress headache. Gets rid of the headache, but not the stress. What happened was, I said, so what did you do? He said, I went skydiving. I said, wow, that's pretty good. I bet that really helped. And he says, and I said, did it go? And he sheepishly looked up and says, I still can't climb ladders.
Yeah.
It didn't go. 20 minutes into the session, he's got no fear of heights. It's very simple. And I know the other one, the deep water. A lady came to see me in Winnipeg. I don't know if you heard of that one. And above North Dakota. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
So I didn't have to do that. Okay. She had a fear of deep water. Now, she said she went to a person that said that, I'll call it what it is, a reader. And he called himself a past life reader. And he said, you're right. You drowned in 4 past lives. And now, he's probably correct. It was 4 past lives. In fact, I'd give it probably 100% he was right. I said, why are you coming to see me? He says, I still have that fear. I said, let's check it out. Then I said, let your statement take you to the cause. It was only one of the 4. The others are just carryover. Why do you think you have the fear in this life? It's carried over from another life. It was only one, and she no longer has that fear either. You see it, you let it go. Why? Don't know, but it works quite well. That kind of thing. So
You wonder if she keeps drowning because something's trying to get her over that fear. Like let's do this again, and see, I mean, if she drowned in 4 or 5 lives. There's the first one that's done it to her, but it's like, do you find people repeat some of the same deaths in these different lives?
What do you
Or
mean?
similar deaths. Do people like carry on? Like there's like a karma that carries out that they have to carry on. They go out
No.
the same way,
Yeah.
similarly.
Karma is actually an interesting word. It's a bit misread. It's not payback. Karma is actually when you go back to your soul group, some of your soul group might not be happy to see you when they're supposed to be. It turned out it'd be misunderstanding from a previous life. They were supposed to be the bad guy and you didn't finish it, and now you're doing something different and you want them to come in, but you haven't told that person that you don't have to be that anymore, and they're confused, and then they come in and they're nasty. I have a routine when we do go through the soul group forgiveness, which in fact this happened to this one lady. She came to see me. She was about 39. She said, I want to find out why my mother and we just don't get along. There's nothing I can do to please her. So I said, let's check it out. So I said, when we went to the soul group, now in the soul group, it's interesting, you'll often recognize some of the people in there. Not always, or all of them. And yes, they can be still alive. I get people say, Bob's still there in there. I said, yes, it's not a cemetery, it's a soul group. Most of our energy stays there, it's just a part goes up. So what happened though, I said, is your mother there? And she goes, yeah. Is she happy to see you? No, which is quite unusual. So I did a forgiveness routine, and about a month and a half later, she comes to my office and said, just jumping up and down, she says, you won't believe this, my mom's being nice to me for the first time in 39 years that you can remember. And I said, interesting, how you handle it. It says, Indra, it's different, but I'm liking it. It was just to do with, that's more the karma. Karma isn't payback.
Well, I found that interesting is that you took her on a therapy session, but in a way you affected somebody else that wasn't there. If your mom started being nice to her.
Because because they're both in the same soul. Yes, so her mom, usually by the next day, the mother would have that healing or forgiveness routine into hers and realize that you don't have to be continue that from a different past life. And when we don't have to do anything or be nasty, our normal way of acting is nice. So she became nice. So this does happen. So that is how my system works. It's an unknown noise. I don't know what you did in a past life, but I'm amazed all the time. That's why I've got the books. In fact, my first one, I gave it a cutesy name, Life in the Past Lane. Life in the Fast Lane.
Yeah.
The music, the Eagle song.
Great Eagle song.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This book was about all I was going to have. This one, Fears and Phobias, was supposed to be in this one. But you start realizing you're getting hurt, you're carrying them, and I hadn't even touched on most of them. So it's going to be about 6 books. So I did split them up. The main book, and we can work out later afterwards. Get you a copy.
I definitely want one to. Definitely want to read this.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think. Go ahead. Sorry.
But there is one other. I'm on a few shows, not very many, because I just love being up at 2 a.m. here. I was just being silly. Love it. Anyhow, there's one I'm going on the 20th, and it's my 3rd time on there. Between the first and second, she did a Skype session. So when we did the second one, it was easier for her to relate and tell people and had more listeners on it. So we might be able to do something too.
I missed that you actually did lag out, though, about the Skype thing. I missed you cut out for a second. That's our first cutout. I missed what you said. I'm so sorry.
It's okay. I'll get over it. What part did you miss?
About the Skype call with the person you do the show. I'm so sorry.
Between the first and second show, I did a Skype session with her. And it was easy for her on her second talk to relate to what I do and how it works.
Oh, you did like a Skype reading, or not reading? Sorry, not reading. No, not reading.
No,
Sorry.
not on the show. No, later on Skype.
Yeah, off
I
of
did a
Skype, but
session.
yeah, you did a session. Oh, I would love to do that. You don't even know how bad I would love to do that. Totally
We'll
into
work
that.
something out. Yeah.
Awesome.
My pet peeve is not. I don't do readings.
I know. I
know
totally, as soon as it left
I-
my mouth, I was like, no, that's not what I meant. I'm sorry. We do
That's
got to go
me
to
telling you. That's me telling you you're a gypsy reading, but I don't. Okay, gotta go to commercial.
Yeah, we got to go to commercial break, guys. If you're listening on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network, we are a webcast. Check us out there. But everybody, we are on Late Night in the Midlands Radio Network. Go donate, subscribe. We got great hosts, great shows. Without you, we wouldn't have them. So please take a little bit of money, donate, subscribe, keep the network alive. All right, we'll be back with our guest, Chris Lee, talking about reincarnation. There's going to be open phone lines when we come back. I'll give out the numbers at when we just come back after the commercial break. It's a short one. We'll have Skype lines, phone lines you can call in, but just wait. We'll have them open soon. Tell us, do you have fears, phobias? He's not going to read for you. We can't tell you anything about that, but you have questions about past life, or maybe like me, have you had a dream that you think was a past life? Because I know I have. I've had two that were, maybe we'll get into that a little bit, that were so strong. I am confident they had to be from a past life. All right, guys, we'll be back after this short commercial break.
Station.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. Attack ships on fire off the shoulder of Orion. I watched sea beams glitter in the dark near the 10-house gate. All those moments will be lost in time. Like tears in rain. Time to die.
Tonight on Paranormal Soup, we are talking about reincarnation, past lives, with our guest Chris Lee, the author of Life in the Past Lane. I do miss playing copyright music right now because I'd love to play that song by the Eagles. It'd be great. But we're getting into this tonight. I got a question from the chat room. I feel bad because I don't get questions from the chat room sometimes, but I saw one from my mom. I'm definitely going to get to you. If you're still there, Mom, I am going to ask that. I'm going to ask this one for my mom. My mom actually is a Buddhist, and got me interested in Buddhism. I had my own innate interest in it, I think, on my own, too. And that I will get into tonight. One of my past life dreams I think I had, I was a Buddhist monk. I'm pretty sure that's what I was. I think I knew that in the dream. It's like a knowing. I was that person. It's a weird experience. We'll get into that tonight. But you can call in to the show. I'm interested. Has anybody watching had a dream they think was a past life experience? Please call in. I'd love to hear it. And maybe get Chris's perspective on it. Not a reading. He does not do readings. He does this past life regression to show you what you experienced, because it will change your life, and that's what's so interesting to me. I'm so curious. I'm so excited. Maybe get to my own personal reading. But you can call in tonight to. Now I said reading, didn't I? Damn. Why do I do that? Past life regression. Sorry, Chris. You can call in tonight at 219-230-4444. Or on Skype lines, there's Skype IDs, JBland, There's also JBland, Paranormal Soup. And there's also the Soup Live Chat 800 Live Chat. That one is a video Skype call-in. You can call in, we can see you, Chris can see you. And we'll take your questions or tell us about your own experience that have you had your own past life regression? I'd love to hear about it. Call in. All right, let's get back to our guest. Maybe you can tell me, Chris, why is when somebody puts something in my head, then I have to keep saying it. I'm like, don't say that. And then I'm going to say it a billion times. I don't know, but I do that.
Stereotyping, too.
Well, it's not a reading. I know it's not a reading because it's, like you're taking somebody through their own consciousness. That's what I find so exciting about the prospect of doing.
Yeah, reading is me telling you what you did. That's reading. But like I said, I don't know. One thing about past lives, though, and dreams, I heard you say that, is that the system I use, I cannot do this to myself, because
Right.
in the session I ask you questions to get an idea where you are and maybe where to turn or go to the next point in that life. Is I can't do this to myself because I have to ask questions, and when you're asking questions, you're not relaxed, and you have to be deeply relaxed. So I do get some of my graduates, and in fact, when I do training, which I do have training coming up in April, I'll mention that in a bit. But you can see your own past lives per se in meditation. I've had people say that, in meditation, I saw one of my past lives just for a brief moment. Well, meditation is slowing down. Yes,
Right.
you're going to get to your memories. The only thing is the past life that you'll see will be something pleasant, because you imagine being in meditation and all of a sudden you see yourself being, head cut off. I think you might not want to come back to that meditation class again and scream and that kind of stuff. But the odd thing about meditation is a lot of times the people running this say, create a safe space for yourself, blah, blah, blah. And I had actually one person ask me when I did training, do I teach people how to have a safe place? And I said, of course not. That means you actually, by teaching that, you'd be implying that you need one.
We need safe places
You don't
nowadays. Didn't you know, Chris? We need safe places.
Yeah.
But
also, in your dream,
go ahead.
Do you ever have recurring dreams?
I don't. Well, I do. Yes, I do. No, I do. I have one major one that's a reoccurring one. There's two. There's a zombie dream. There's the zombie dreams where I'm in a zombie apocalypse, and then something bad happens globally, usually. And then the other one is I'm on a shore, and there's this huge like tsunami, typhoon, wall of water coming at me, and usually everybody I care about and love is on that beach with me. And that's the most frightening one to me. The zombie ones, I'm kicking butt, but it's like an adventure in the zombie ones. But the typhoon scares the crap out of me. My water fear. I do have to. Before we get into this, I want to ask, because I know my mom's going to go to bed. I'm going to do this for her. Hopefully, she's still watching. I know my mom had a question. She suffered with being overweight ever since my birth, which I feel bad. Sorry, Mom. And I've watched her struggle with this for a long time. We both have, I swear, my Buddhist thing, I swear, we both were in an Asian country at some point, but she suffered with overweight. How often, what are some of the causes you've seen for people that suffer with like just this problem of no matter what they do, they can't lose the weight?
Yeah. Okay, I'll explain. I had that on my list of things to mention. I added while you're on commercial weight, but I'll get to that right now. All these concerns, weight, smoking, migraines, all these things are past life. Weight is the biggest one. Weight clinics out there. Now, have you ever heard of people going on diets?
No, not at all.
And they lose some weight, and then when they take a break, it pops back?
Yeah, that's usually what happens.
Yeah, that's almost 100%. That's also why they're in business a lot. But the reason for that is, again, my system. See, I work on cause and effect. Ever had stress?
Oh yeah, plenty.
You ever get a stress headache from it?
Yes.
Yes, most people do. And you take an aspirin for it or whatever these medications that there's thousands of. And that could relieve your headache. But hello, does it get rid of your stress?
No, it's still there.
No. Cause and effect. You seeing where that deep water problem came from and you lose it. It looks like I'm frozen again. But you lose it. That's because you got rid of the cause, not the effect. So weight is a cause and effect thing. You see, when you take the diet and you practice and you're going, backing up, your subconscious, its only job is to do what the conscious tells it, okay? The conscious also gets repetition. Like if you ever drive all the way home and get in the driveway and you go, oh, damn, how did I get here? I was going to stop and get some groceries. It's just repetition. Your subconscious takes over because it knows you're daydreaming and it likes to make sure you don't die. So it takes over. So that kind of stuff.
It's a scary feeling. you realize you lost track of time.
Yeah. I usually check the wheel.
For subconscious, though.
Yeah, I check the wheel wells for bodies in case I ran over somebody, sort of thing. But you ever going to tangent? When I'm doing talks, somebody asks a question, I'll forget where I am. I always
Sorry.
just say, was anybody listening? Okay, and they always tell me, so I get back on it again. Yeah. So back to the weight. What happens is when they go to the diet, the subconscious does what the conscious tells it, or goes on the repetition. It will, you see, okay, backing up a bit, overweight problem and not getting rid of it is caused by 3 types of past lives. But I'll get into there for a sec in a moment. What happened though is when you go to take the diet and you're working hard, and subconscious goes, okay, I have to sit here and listen to you, do it, eat the salad, like that the animals wanted, and that kind of stuff. And as soon as you take a break, we'll go back to how we were. You see, the subconscious, remember, lesson's not done, lesson's not finished, is affected from the past lives. As I said, the 3 types of past lives that affect your weight to bounce back, which it's very good at. One is, back in the old days, rich and poor. Who were bigger?
The rich were fat.
Yes, because they had food. It was a status symbol to be overweight. In fact, one guy said the only skinny people he knew in that life was his servants because he didn't feed them. He ate it all. Now, think of the logic. When you are enjoying this from the past life, and mind you, you probably died from overweight, whatever. But when you haven't finished that, the subconscious now says, okay, now you stopped telling me what to do. We got to finish this lesson, but we'll put you back to the way it was when you died in that life. And if you were fat and overweight, it will put you back. You see, your subconscious controls your immune system and healing. Like if you cut yourself, and the conscious is not going to help it. It's not going to say heal, 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 and maybe a dog might show up or something. But anyhow, what happened is that over a few days, it heals. Your subconscious controls your immune system. Being told that you're going to catch a cold because somebody else has got a cold, you're more likely to get it because it will lower your immune system to make it happen. Doesn't mean guaranteed, but if your immune system is lowered, it's going to catch it. So these are all these things. So when you finish that life and you haven't finished that lesson and you're rich and all that kind of stuff, it puts you back. So that, remember, just like the ache in the shoulder, it's going to keep that pain there or bring it back. Or if you get I get massage people come in, masseuses, whatever, for sessions, and I check with them. Have you ever had clients that come back continue with the same, same shore? Yes, because it's cause and effect. The second reason that weight pops back is because of dungeons or street people in past lives. They starved to death. Your subconscious is going to say, no, you don't lose that 20, 30 pounds. We died starving to death. I'm going to put it back on with maybe an extra 10 pounds so that it makes it harder the next time. And the third reason, which I'm seeing more lately, is protection. Often people were raped in past life. Women were raped because they were cute, beautiful. So they hear a comment. In fact, this one lady said that she was fine until a couple of guys made comments about, inappropriate. Within months, she was way overweight. It's subconscious says we're going to make you less attractive, less appealing. It's there to protect you. Thank you very much. I didn't really want that, but it's there to protect you. So if you haven't got rid of those things, your weight's going to keep bouncing back. Right? So I help people with that. Also, interesting is I can take you back to the past life that's the cause, but I also have to check to see if there's any other past lives that are preventing it. Once you find the cause, because this one guy turned out, a woman actually, in another life, and the one preventing it he was a real fat, rich guy, and he was in the market in Persia or stuff like that, and he was well respected by being big, so he was actually blocking it. So I know how to explain to that one, because you can talk to your past lives. That's nothing I learned those 2 or 3 years. You can talk to your past lives and ask them questions.
You talk to the other you, kind of like have a conversation with your past. That is really cool.
I know. It really helps. You can ask them to help you. So with the weight, once I find out where it came from and what lesson you haven't finished, people, in fact, there was a lady, it's interesting, one year that I was doing a talk in this one city in Alberta, and a woman came and said, oh, by the way, a friend of mine wants to say thank you. And I had worked with that woman about a year earlier in a different place, and she lost 127 pounds in 1 year. which is kind of weird because she only weighed 130. And just kidding.
The thinner. No.
She weighed quite a lot, but she blames me. But it was a nice blaming because she saw where it came from.
You put
And
Weight
I'm letting
Watchers
go.
out of business.
Yes, it could, but not everybody's going to do, see my sister.
Yeah.
But the thing is that you still have to go on the diet or watch what you eat at the beginning. It's not like it falls off in a
Right.
session. But
That would be
I have
scary.
found, yeah, especially on my, like in my office floor, what happened is though your subconscious is there to help you. I had one lady told me that I worked with. She said that often since the session and losing weight, she said she got back. People would get back to me. She said that she'd go into her fridge once in a while and find food that she didn't remember buying. Healthy food.
So her subconscious is getting like, hey, you better start eating this. We're over the fat thing right now.
She'd be in the grocery shopping and
That's
buy.
incredible.
It was making her pick up, diet type things rather than the fat things. So it does that. It'll be there to help you. Still have to keep an eye on it, but it will help you. So hopefully that answers your mother's question.
Thank you so much. I know she was staying up. Hopefully she stayed up and heard that. I have to tell you, Chris, phone lines are blowing up. I got people waiting on hold if you're all right
One
taking
more
phone
thing
lines.
about the
Yeah, go
weight.
for it.
Is that when a lot of women are told that when you have kids and gain the weight, it doesn't always go away.
That's what happened to my mom.
Do you know why it doesn't go away? The power of suggestion.
I don't know if somebody
Hello?
suggested that, but I know that it started happening
Same.
after me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So smoking and headaches. Okay. So you got some questions, you said?
Oh, I got some people on the phone, actually. We're going to the first person that's been waiting on the phone line here. Who do we got on the phone?
Hi, Jason. Hi, Chris. This is Debbie in Florida.
Hi, Debbie. Thanks for calling in.
Hi, Debbie in Florida.
Hi. Thank you for taking my call. Chris, I have a question for you. I was hit by two different drunk drivers, once in 1988 and once in 1992. And I was sore after both accidents. But around 1993, I started developing some severe chronic pain, and I've been in chronic pain ever since and have been bedbound since 2006. My question is, how do you know if you're like a situation like chronic nerve pain, degenerative disc disease, things like fibromyalgia that I've been diagnosed with, how do you know if that is caused by a traumatic accident that happened in this life, if it's something that's manifesting from a past life, or if it's something emotional that you're hanging on to that you need to work on and release?
It's a great question.
Well, first of all, what I have found is that when I first started doing this, I used to start off with the client going, like, I hope it is something from a past life and hope this works. It only took me a few hundred to realize it always works. And example with the fibromyalgia. Okay, backing up again. If you break a bone, I think it's about 7 weeks, it mends, you've got no problem. Because that's not what's called a persistent ache or pain. But if you find that bone is mended, but there's a pain, like a phantom pain or whatever, that's lasts for like 10, 20 years later, you definitely triggered something. It's if it doesn't hurt, it means it wasn't a trigger. So it's not like the car accidents are the ones to blame in a sense of causing those problems. It's triggers stuff. A good example is fibromyalgia. I don't like big words. I get people that come in that have had a pain for so long that they practiced how to pronounce their 37-letter ailment. So I just simply say, where is it on your body? It's all I need to know. I don't need to know C1, C2, hello. Is it lower, middle, or upper back? It's all it is. Your subconscious doesn't care either. It just knows where it is. Fibromyalgia. I work with 5 male medical doctors through the years, and some have come in for more than 2 or 3 sessions. One of them has a beautifully no lower back problem. They can't heal themselves, but they all know that that placebo effect is definitely, there's your power of suggestion working. So the only big one I bothered learning to pronounce was fibromyalgia, because I've had over 200 clients through the years come in with fibromyalgia. The percentage of people that still have it after they leave is 0. Because
my wife needs to see you then.
Sorry?
Said my wife needs to do a session with you then.
It's just and fibromyalgia. It's different aches and pains. Like some people might be on the right side of their body, left. Like if fibromyalgia was everybody got it, it's on your nose or something. Well, you could pinpoint it's something to do. But when it's all different parts, all it is that you've had a bad ache or pain that happened. One lady, she'd actually had it all over her body really badly. She also, in fact, it was funny when she came in and sat down. She was doing this cracking. I said, "What are you doing?" Because I can't stand that noise. She said, "Oh, I do this all the time. I can crack almost any bone." And she had the fibromyalgia. The past life with her, just to make it a bit shorter, simply and she had fallen from off a cliff, mountain climbing. Oh, she also had a fear of heights. Sometimes you can have 3 or 4 different things from the same life. And she broke every bone in her body, bouncing down and died. She couldn't make her bones crack when she left. And her fear of heights is now gone. So one life can cover a number of things. But aches and pains, some of the things, like when people say they have arthritis. Okay, well, arthritis is a sort of a description, okay, but it's not real per se, or doesn't start real. A good example is that when your body cells, body memory, tries to duplicate the pain from that life, it'll tighten up a muscle. But if it's not enough to hurt, it actually will put bones out of alignment. And a good one is actually your lower back. When people move around, when they're finished, it cracks and it's back into shape. But this lady came in one day, about 2 years ago. Her hands were like bad. I mean, you can start to swell up. It's only because it's just the reaction. She came in, and for the last, I think she had said about 5 years, she's had problems moving her fingers. And they were sort of crippled a bit. So I said, let yourself go and take you to the past life. She had been in a dungeon in a past life. They took a hammer and smashed her hands. You got to remember that back in those days, they didn't hire nice counselors and stuff to be the guards. It was the low end of the scale, and they were sadists anyway. They had smashed her hands. So when I finished that particular part of the session, seeing it and explain how to, to let it go. Often I just have people say, that's a different life. Let it go. I let it go. I said, now move your hands. Now the client is sitting there in a chair. They do not lay down. That's another piece of bull crap. I get people come in and say, where do I lay down? I say, why? Are you paying me to sleep? Hello. Repetition. Remember, you lay down, your body says, go to sleep. I can't talk to you sleeping. They sit there. It's because they think that in hypnosis they're going to fall off their chair or something. No, you're there all the time. But anyhow, I said, eyes are closed so you're not distracted by stuff around. I said, move your hands. Now she started to do this, and it was like a Rice Krispie commercial. Crackle, crackle, snapple, crackle. God. Then after about 20 seconds, all of a sudden, she was doing this. It was gone.
That's crazy.
Totally. And so because she saw that she had it was also to do with the lesson not finished. It's not just because of that. It's because you haven't finished the lesson. Your body cells say, got to go back to how it was before to work on, and why, again, I don't know. It seems to do that. So
let's say, so go ahead, sorry. I was going to say, so for Debbie, yeah, go ahead, Debbie.
I'm definitely trying to figure out the lesson that 25 years of pain is trying to teach me, and I'm doing the inner work, the shadow work, the emotional work, the releasing of anger, forgiveness of people, forgiveness of self, but the pain is still existing. I've been to medical doctors for 25 years with, all they did was put me on a bunch of pills, which,
yeah, no good.
Worked for a time being until my body developed a tolerance to them. And then they're like, well, you're on too much medication. We got to take you off all the medication. And then I had to go through, more pain because my body was used to being on pain medication for 24 years.
And then you have side effects. You take pills for the side effects from the pills.
Yeah.
So I've been off medication for several years now. But
sorry. There's a time delay. That's why I'm tripping over you. Sorry.
Yeah. There's a little bit of a time delay, Debbie. So he was trying to answer a question here for you.
I was tripping over you. You see, one of the doctors used to send me his hypochondriacs because he got tired of giving them placebo effect pills, whatever. That's how powerful your mind is. Now, you won't necessarily know what lesson you're supposed, like you're wondering what the lesson is you're supposed to learn from the 25. You won't. It'll be something totally weird, something totally different. It's just that pain happened in that life that you hadn't finished. So doesn't have to be like to listen to, how to handle pain. That's almost never a lesson we come into, is to learn how to handle pain. That's just a side effect. It's to learn whatever lesson it is, but you don't have to it's just, I get frustrated when I see how many, okay, here's an example. One lady came to see me about 5-6 years ago. She used to go to a local big coffee shop chain. Well, you might have, Tim Hortons are now coming into the U.S. But yeah, they should go in with their 3 older lady friends and sit down. They'd all sit down with their coffee or tea, and the other 3 would open up a pill tray and open it up. They'd brag about who had the most pills to take. Why in the world would you brag about how much pills you take? The power of the suggestion. And half of the pills, they all admitted, were for the side effect of the pills they shouldn't have taken in the first place. And were they working? Remember the aspirin for the stress headache? So after about 2 weeks, she said she stopped hanging around them. They were depressing because she didn't take anything. They were competing. So the power of your mind is quite strong. But I would suggest, a session. I don't know if you saw my website or my email address. I don't know if you posted that or not. But what I'd like people to do listening is just to simply email me, and we can chat further and explain, and then see what happens. I just worked with a lady from Texas. This is their 3rd one, but it's because she had a list this big, and we took care of them. But one of her major ones from the very first one is she couldn't drive on freeways. It just scared the heck out of her. She said since the first session, she's had no problem whatsoever. It makes her husband happy too. So it doesn't take long. Now, a lot of emotions are caused by, and this is something I've come across and I'm doing more in the last couple of years. My sessions used to be an hour and a half. They're now 2 hours. It's a thing called stuck lives. I can't explain it all one time here. But roughly what happens is that when we come into the human body to learn lessons and we die, we don't have to go home. We don't have to leave. It'll only be because of a strong emotion holding you. Revenge, I'm going to kill those guys that killed me. Or I got to help my family, which is hard to do when you're dead. Or am I really dead? Or I still got more to do? Or confused. And you end up stuck. A lot of people have that stuck feeling in their current life. You don't know what to do. I feel stuck. It'll be because one of your lives is still stuck. When you have, what happens is that I will help you take some of them home. And I've had people, one woman, she said, life is great, but I'm angry all the time. Turned out one of her past lives, or stuck lives, was angry. Had her take it to the soul group. It disappeared. She even sat up straight and says, oh, what a beautiful feeling. So a lot of these emotions, and that's why ongoing therapy doesn't help, because they go on, and it's to do, 99% of therapy is current life. And think of the logic. Here, let's pretend you have a fear of heights. And let's say you had 100 past, in a session now, your subconscious will tell you how many past lives you've had. We've also had them on other planets too. But anyhow, what happened was, let's say you had 100 past lives, Jason, and you had a fear of heights. If you're a betting person, what's the odds that your fear of heights started in your current life?
Probably not very good.
100 to 1 it didn't.
Yeah.
But most of the therapies are current life. That's why there's ever heard of a book called Many Lives, Many Masters?
Yes.
Yeah, that guy, Brian Weiss, he was a psychiatrist. He learned, that book was all about one woman. He admits in his book he spent 18 months using psychiatry, and he did use current life hypnotherapy, like why'd you hate your mother and all that kind of stuff, which is never there.
Freudian
what
stuff.
happened was, all of a sudden she started describing, after 18 months, she started describing in a session that something that obviously was past life. So he decided out of frustration to go with it. And in his book, he reports 18 months of psychiatry, did nothing, 6 weeks of past life, took care of all her concerns.
Well, I want to be able to let Debbie go here, but my take on this too, Debbie, is that you talk about having the pain, for 25 years. What's my life lessons? I think what Chris is, I'm taking this, Chris, you're trying to get at, is that it doesn't matter what you're trying to learn in this life. It's something held on from the past life. You would have to see that past life to get over that pain.
Yeah, and it only takes a few minutes.
Yeah,
Sorry?
I definitely feel like it is that I have had traumatic deaths in past lives, and that it is somewhat underlying from past lives, and that's why it manifested in my 20s when I was so young. But I just don't know how to release it on my own, and so I've been wanting to do a QHHT session to get a regression and to see if, that will help me to finally release whatever is causing this
I can give you
horrible
a
pain.
98% chance that it would work.
It's pretty
See,
good.
as I mentioned earlier, I
Yeah,
can't
'cause-
do this to myself. So you can't. I have to get somebody to do it with, like, ask me the questions. And I mentioned that lady earlier, remember? Pain in her knee for 55 years, gone,
Yeah.
just by seeing it.
Well,
So,
you've got plenty of books of cases that you've gone through, that show over and over again. Debbie, if you don't see the email in my thing, I don't know if I had it in there or not. I sometimes I don't put the guest email in there because I'm not sure if they want it in there. I should have known. We'll make sure you get it out on the show too. But Debbie, if you don't see the email in there, message me on Facebook if you got me on Messenger, and I'll make sure you get that. I'll make sure you get that email. Okay.
Thank you,
yes,
Jason.
I'd like
Thank
to
you so
chat
much,
further
Chris,
with.
for answering my questions, and Jason for taking my call.
All right. Thanks for calling in, Debbie.
That was a good question.
Yeah,
A
it
lot of the
was.
places when I do talks, it's usually pre-recorded, so I don't get questions and stuff.
We got somebody else on hold right now too. I'll tell you
Okay.
that this is a good subject. I get people that call in really interested in this.
Go for it.
Got on the Skype line, Zach. He always has really great questions. You still there with us, Zach?
Yes, sir, I am. How you doing, brother?
Doing great. I was looking forward to your call. You always got good questions, so shoot away. Or maybe you got an experience. I don't know.
Well, got a question, and I'm also going to bring up an experience. Chris, very nice to meet you, brother.
You too.
My one question
What
is,
state are you in?
I'm over in Arizona.
Oh yeah, beautiful place.
A lot warmer than where we are.
Sedona is nice. Sorry. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I'm down over here. I'm over in the Phoenix area, so it's not snowing down here, so love it. Anyway, my question to you is, in many of the patients that you've seen and all the different readings that you've given, whenever someone's recounting a past life, do you tend to find that a lot of what is described in the past life compared to what the patient is undergoing in their current life, does a lot of it tend to rhyme? Why or why not?
Okay, like a good question. First of all, they're clients. I'm not a doctor. They're not patients. Okay, so
Okay.
you're saying, just to clarify, you said the lives they're seeing in the session, what again?
The life that they're seeing in the session compared to what they're undergoing in their current life right now, does a lot of it rhyme?
Or similarities, maybe. Are you trying to get at that, Zach? Like a similarity?
Right.
Okay, not sure how to.
Or
what that
echoes
means.
of your past life or in your new life, I guess is what he's saying. A rhyme is like
Well,
kind of a poetic term, I guess.
Yeah, it can rhyme. No, basically, Zach, what it is that it's the system I use is, of course, it's going to be similar because that's where it came from. So when people say they have a pain in their left knee and they've had it there for 20 years, I just simply say, I'm going to take you back to the past life, and sure enough, it'll be a past life that you injured that knee. So is that what you mean by similarity? But the whole point is it's a different life. People let it go.
Maybe,
Or-
people share the same, like they go into a similar profession or they do the similar things from past life, from one life to the other. Still there, Zach? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still here. Yeah, that's really what I'm getting at.
Well, a lot of professions, a lot of people do bring forward interest, like certain, like, you ever know, okay, here's a good example. I got 3 brothers, okay, all raised, we had the same parents, one of the last people I know with the same parents. We all have different likes, dislikes, talents, there's no, it's because we didn't, it's stuff we did in past lives. Like some of us play music, some of us don't. Or certain countries. Some of us say, I've always wanted to go to that country and it felt like home when I was there, and then, or I didn't like that country. It is to do with past lives. But again, yes, often we pick the type of work we do because of, okay, you have people say that person's got a talent. Okay, some people natural talent, whereas the next person in that same family couldn't, carry a tune in a bucket, that kind of expression. Natural talents, they didn't. They've done it before in past lives. It's like relearning to ride the bicycle. So I don't know if that helps or not.
And Zach, you said you also had a past life experience or something that happened?
Yep, I'm gonna bring up the dream, brother. I'm gonna bring up the
okay.
dream.
Yeah, I know what you want.
Yeah. Past
All right.
lives are shown in dreams.
Yep.
Yeah.
Chris, just wanted to get your perspective on this. So one dream that I did have, and I shared it with Jason before, is that I did have a dream where I was in a dark place. I didn't know where I was, but I felt a gun pressed up against the back of my head. And for some reason, I just said, make it quick. And I hear the gunshot go off, and I lose all feeling in my body, and I fall over. And then I feel someone pouring gasoline on me and then lighting me on fire.
I would give you 99% that's happened in a past life.
Here's the freaky thing. When he first told this story on the show, I kind of freaked out because back in high school, I was in a TV class, and we would make like short films for it. And the short film I made, I was like, it just came out of me, and I wrote the whole script in one night. It was like totally like just came from the depths of my soul. I was very into David Lynch at the time, and I made this whole silent film. And it starts off at the beginning and the end, very David Lynch style. I was a man. Pretty much the exact scene Zach is talking about of a person being like that, being executed just like that, and. And Zach brings that up, and it's like, man, you talk about soul groups, and Zach's been calling this show now for a couple of years, and we met doing this show. And you wonder if me and Zach might be in a soul group.
Quick question: how often have you had that dream?
It happened just once.
Oh, okay. Because see, when I do a group, I'll say, anybody here have recurring dreams, and most hands come up. And then I say, were they pleasant ones? All their hands come down. We don't usually have reoccurring nice dreams.
Right.
It's past life problems that reoccur, and so that's quite. Even though it's not reoccurring, that's quite likely. But what happens is when people do come in for a session, and again, as I can say, like I've actually taken people back to as many as 10 past lives. Sometimes people are really quick and it's short. But what if they have a recurring dream or unusual? I'll just simply say, let your subconscious take you back to why you had that dream, and what will pop up is something that always answers it, because it's being affected from whatever it is. It's not imagination. Remember, we don't have an imagination.
Zach, maybe if he does a session with me, I'll find out. Maybe, hopefully, I wasn't the guy that lit you on fire, shot you in the head and lit you on fire. I don't know, but I've always wondered that about soul groups, because I know about a lot of these concepts, Chris. I've always been fascinated by reincarnation. When Zach called in, I don't know if it was a reincarnation show. I don't remember which exact. I don't recall which show was it. The first one why we got on that subject. You brought that dream up, and I was like, okay, hold on a minute, because that is that scene, and yeah, it makes me wonder. You talk about soul groups of me and Zach, because man, Zach, I love him calling in. We both have obviously the same interests. He has great questions. You should be a host yourself, Zach. If that was your interest, you'd be great at it. Yeah. But it makes you wonder. Maybe we have a connection because of that.
Same wavelengths. You ever have people that they start to ask you something and you answer the question before they finish it, or there's other people that you talk to.
Me and my wife.
not even close. But see, you got to remember, it's not like people say, well, it's because we've been married so long. Bullshit.
No, it was from day one. It was really from day one, from our first date.
No, it's because you're both from the same soul group.
Yep.
I'd give you that.
I believe it.
And if you're in the same soul group, you're in the same wavelength. So it's like listening to radio. You're on the same radio program or station. But I had interest. I had a lady that said she was always fascinated about hearing about serial killers.
Yeah, me too.
That's going to be in a book. My next one, yeah.
My wife would be listening right now. She'd be like, because she's disturbed by my fascination of serial killers. I could do a whole other show on that. Yeah, I don't know why, but I always have. Thank you, Zach, for calling in. I knew you were going to bring up that dream.
But
Uh,
just to finish the serial
Chris,
killer, you take care.
thank you
Thanks,
so much,
Zach.
Chris, for answering my question, brother. And Jason, thank you so much for allowing me to call in, brother. It's always a pleasure calling in here. I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you, Zach.
You take care.
Have a good night,
To
y'all.
finish with the lady of the serial killers, I simply let your subconscious take you back to why you have an interest. So it wasn't like a particular ache or pain. And sure
Right.
enough, in 3 past lives, she was serial killers. Now, one of them,
Oh,
she was an
don't
assassin.
tell me that.
She was an assassin
Uh-oh.
for a.
Uh-oh.
She was an assassin in working for the king or something. So that was, but the other two are quite interesting.
Oh, that's not good for
And
me.
now the point I like to make is that by seeing these things, it doesn't change your life to the bad. You don't say, "Oh, now I know how to be a serial killer." No, it lets go of the problems. When you see, when I take you back to the scene, uh, like for example, if you got to fear heights, the people I know with strong fears, if you mention, before I work with them, if you mention heights or show them, this one guy, he saw every time he saw a picture of a mountain, you get the butterflies, the sweats, you get a reaction. When you go to the past life as the cause, this will never happen. So I've had people wonder if when they see it in that life, are they going to start going screaming? That doesn't happen. It's just
It's the
like when you see
opposite.
it's a garbage can, does that mean you're going to go buy a garbage can? No, it just means you get rid of the problem with being annoyed by the garbage can noise. But no, it doesn't happen. See, what happens, I also have you step back and watch yourself. Good example I like to use in a group. If I had a bouquet of flowers and they're kind of pretty looking, but they stink, well, if I hold them further out, they're still pretty looking, but the smell doesn't bother you. So once in a while, if I see somebody getting just a little edgy, I just say move back a bit, and within seconds they're fine. But
Makes
it does,
sense.
and once they see it, it disappears. You can't just hear it; you got to see it. But it only takes a moment. There's no ab reactions, none at all. The only good thing comes from it is the fear is gone. So you're not going to go out and start, like being a serial killer because you saw yourself. No, it just answers the question why you have that interest, and maybe it'll even subside from that because it just happens. It's
But
really funny. You say, like, oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
One thing I like to explain to people about hypnosis is that it's very, 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 very misunderstood. Too many people watch stupid television, Hollywood. It's because it's called entertainment.
Yeah.
What happens is that when I start off a show, or my talk, I could call it my talk, what it is, I say, how many people here have ever been hypnotized? Hands up. Almost nobody puts their hand up. Then I go, you guys are fibbing. We're in hypnosis 5 to 20 times per day. It's part of how we subside, how we exist. And now here's what I always do is give examples. I say, did anybody here remember high school? Joking. And did you have a subject that was boring and you daydreamed? And everybody puts their hand up.
Everyone.
Daydreaming is hypnosis. What are you doing? You're slowing down, and you decide, there's a beach I saw the other day. Oh, and then you start picturing yourself being on a beach, and then you just run amok. But you aren't gone, because especially in school, you have to watch for the teacher to catch you. And here's the other thing: nobody forces you to daydream. There's no loss of control. 100% of hypnosis, Jason, is self-hypnosis. I can't hypnotize anybody. I just help you slow down and then ask you the right question. Another example: have you ever read a book or watched a TV show so intently you don't hear people talking to you?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You're in hypnosis.
I'm a hypnotized chicken, man. I'm a hypnotized chicken. I'm a daydreamer and an intense
Single-focus
reader.
concentration,
Yes, you can
yeah.
ask my wife; she'd be here testifying to it now if she wasn't asleep right now. You mentioned though about the
memorizing.
you mentioned. I was just say you mentioned about that you ask people about reoccurring dreams, and I'm going to get to Rob's here in a second, but like Zach, mine, I had two different ones, I believe, or two different past lives, or only one time. And I've had the tsunami thing, but there was two really intense dreams I had that were, when I woke up from them, I knew right away. I was sweating, and I knew right away I witnessed something that was a past life. One, I was a Buddhist monk. All I can know about where I was is that I was wearing black robes, and there were soldiers with rifles. Why were soldiers? Because I found my master of the temple, I guess, would be the headmaster or whatever, was, our guru, whatever you want to call him, was smoking, I believe, was opium in the dream. And I turned him into the government, basically, whoever the authority was. This is what I could pull from it, because I was like writing it down, trying to remember as much as I could after I woke up, but it was intense. And of course, soldiers came into the temple and not just took out the leader, they started killing all the monks. And I remember running for my life in the wood, in the jungle. Basically, it was like a jungle. And I was running for my life, and I woke up just about the moment I think I might have got killed. And then the other one, I was a little black girl. And that's the weird experience. Because, I'm not seeing it from the outside. I know what I was. My mother was a black woman who actually appeared in another dream that was, I don't know, that's a longer story. But I was beaten to death by my white father. Well, I'm guessing maybe a slave owner sleeping with one of his, I was beaten to death. I probably was like 8 years old. And I woke up from that dream really intense. So, I mean, some of these dreams, I think I was getting, for some reason, given a glimpse. The monk one really explained a lot to me. I thought about it deeply because I've always been very questionable of authority. I hate authority. Mostly, even though I tried to be a cop, I ended up not because, again, I hate authority and I don't like to be authority. And I don't trust religion. I never have. And I'm open to religion. I'm open to spiritual concepts. I believe in another side, but I just don't trust any kind of organized religion or any guru or anybody like that. I'm questioned always that way. I never could subscribe to one religion. And I thought the Buddhist dream, that really explained a lot. And I felt like I was given a glimpse of that. Rob, on the other hand, he's had a reoccurring one. It's been reoccurring. Go ahead and tell him a little bit about that one, Rob.
Where's Rob from?
Rob's from St. Augustine, Florida.
Another Florida, yeah. Just curious. I've been in 45 states.
I've had 3 reoccurring dreams, but the one Jason's talking about is kind of weird to talk about. But I think I was an executioner.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead, Trey.
Yeah, I've had a reoccurring dream that I was an executioner that worked a guillotine.
It was a guillotine.
Yes,
I thought it was.
Yeah. Well, somebody had to do it.
Yeah, somebody had to do it, and I've suffered major neck problems.
That's guilt symptoms, maybe,
Yeah,
or maybe that's where you said you're fired, and next thing you know you're in the guillotine.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Well, you might have been killed by somebody else because that was a common way of being killed. Yes, but yeah, everybody, we have different occupations. And keep in mind, back in the old days, people weren't that nice to each other.
No.
Right. They had guillotines. Yeah, it was not a very nice way to take somebody out.
With the head.
Yeah. But, I have the one time to give me a glimpse. Rob's having the reoccurring, but it feels like it's almost like what you're doing is helping what nature's just trying to get, like what happened to me and Rob. Like we were giving glimpses, or he's giving reoccurring glimpses. Like it is what you're doing is what's meant to be. We need to look at these things to help us move forward.
Well, see, while you're sleeping, your conscious, subconscious are together. Remember, they're about 3 times faster than each other.
Right.
But the reason we have to sleep every 24 hours is because your conscious only holds about 1 day's worth of stuff. You ever try studying for exams years ago, and after a while it just felt like nothing's sticking? It's because you're full. So when you go to sleep, your conscious, subconscious slow down. That's the fact. Sleep is hypnosis. That's the deepest relaxation you can get. Everything you did for the day drops down, is filed and sorted. And that's also where the subconscious can give you more info. When I work with my clients, is that it's one-on-one, minute to minute. And we see the significant points, but there might be some small points in that life that also would add to help get rid of the concern. While they're sleeping, and usually it takes 2 or 3 days, but the subconscious can show your conscious the rest of that life in a matter of hours. And because it's right there, and it will show more stuff, and that clears it up. The biggest thing, see, Earth is I get a lot of people that say, I didn't want to come to Earth to learn lessons because it's called dense. No, it's like not too bright, but dense is that, see, when we come into the human form, it's because we can't feel aches and pains, but this planet, emotions stay. And the biggest one that travels with us is guilt. Number one. So that's one of the reasons why a lot of the stuff is there. So I help that disappear. Number 2 and 3 actually kind of funny, but they actually bother people, is doing something stupid and being embarrassed. So they're almost similar. But there are a lot of people that just can't stand being, embarrassed or something. But so like you said, guilt is the big one.
May I cut in for a moment?
Yeah.
Sure.
I actually get reoccurring dreams probably once or twice a week, and it's always the same type of scenario
Mm-hmm.
where I'm being, chased and I'm going to be, killed. And if I wake up in the middle of it, when I go back to sleep, I always will finish, like, I have to complete the dream until I actually go black out and feel myself die. And it happens several times a week.
Wow. That's something that doing a session with what I do will certainly clear it up. Unless you like the dream.
Yeah.
Jamie likes excitement, but I don't know if she likes to be chased and killed all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
These are past lives that are being shown to you because, again, conscious, subconscious are together while you're sleeping. So it's right there. In fact, when people have nightmares and they are reoccurring and they wake up, it's because the conscious part of your mind is a processor. Remember, it hasn't been to a past life. So so when you're sleeping and subconscious shows the consciousness, its reaction is get me out of here. But what happens though is that in a session, when you see that life or the major part, and then when your subconscious while you're sleeping is going to show the conscious more of it, the conscious now goes, oh, I know about this, give me the rest of it, as opposed to let me out of here.
That's why I want to do it. I want to know more about those two dreams. They're scarred in my brain. The images are still there from the experience. Yeah, you know how you start to lose it as soon as you wake up, but there's some parts of it that I just will never go away. I remember.
Yeah, a lot of people, I ask people, does anybody remember their dreams in the morning? Now, I'm similar to most, is that as your conscious comes, it starts to separate. I'll remember it for a while, then it slowly evaporates.
Right.
But there are some people, I won't mention Debbie's name, is that she not only knows when she's dreaming that she is dreaming, and she doesn't like it, she changes it. So there are
I do that too.
But you can improve. See, I also help people reprogram themselves. You can reprogram your subconscious. It takes about 3 or 4 weeks to, for example, one of my doctor friends, he wanted to remember his dreams. So for 3 or 4 weeks, every night before he went to sleep, he said, in the morning, I remember my dreams. Don't say I want to or I hope to. That's BS. Your subconscious will say when. You have to have said it as if it's already happened. So the subconscious does that. And he started remembering his dreams and keeping them within the first 2 weeks. I help people improve their memory by simply saying, before you go to sleep, I have a perfect memory. Don't say I want to improve, or that's why people say, I want to be rich. Well, it's going to say when. What do you
We've had a couple of really good guests on that subject alone, just about the power of what you say and do.
That has already happened. Yeah. Just like that's how I don't take pills. I haven't had a headache for about 50 years. I learned to get rid of all these things. What it is that use the mantra, already healed. Your subconscious will heal you. It's very good. It's when you block it with junk like, I hope I get better, or they said I'm, like talking to someone, so I'm going to get sick. Get your monkey mind out of the way.
Monkey mind, yep.
Simply say, already healed. Actually, got that from Greg Braden. He uses that one. He's quite a fascinating guy. But anyhow, it's how you think. So
I totally believe that. We do got to go to our last commercial break, so we're going to go into that. Guys, phone lines are still open. You can call in at 219-230-4444. You can call in now. Just hold on over till the break. There's also Skype ID OOJBland OO. You can call in at Soup Live Chat 800 Live Chat or J Bland Paranormal Soup. Any of those Skype IDs, you can call in. Don't forget, go to latenightthemidlandsradionetwork.com. Donate, subscribe, do what you can to help keep this great network going with all these really great hosts. All right, guys, we'll be back in just a few minutes.
Time goes by fast.
It does. It always does on this show. Last commercial break.
Okay.
This station
vibration is now the ultimate power in the universe.
We have ignition. Strap in. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Vince, you said before you were waiting for a sign. What sign are you waiting for?
Gozer the Traveler. He will come in one of the pre-chosen forms. During the rectification of the Valdrani, the Traveler came as a large and moving torb. Then, during the third reconciliation of the last of the McKettrick supplicants, they chose a new form for him, that of a giant slore. Many Shubs and Zools knew what it was to be roasted in the depths of the slore that day, I can tell you.
Tonight we've been talking to Chris Lee, author of Life in the Past Lane. We talk about reincarnation. To me, this is one of my favorite topics because it's a glimpse into the workings of the universe. At least our purpose here, what's going on, and you know, Christopher doesn't get metaphysical or into that. He does these regression therapy sessions with people and helps them. It's these stories tonight we're hearing. People are being cured. Imagine if this became acceptable to mainstream medical science. What if they actually accepted how we could change the world, how ourselves. Imagine we all accepted the idea of past lives, or just that the fact that this kind of therapy helps, how it could change things. That's why I do this show. We need to get this kind of word out there. There needs to be more of this work kind of done. I am, like I said, I've said it before, I want to get one of these sessions done. I've always been interested in it. I got my problems. I could put down a list of aches and pains and phobias and stuff I have. Oh, I got them, Chris. Just wait. But tonight, we still are taking phone calls. You can call in at 219-230-4444. You can also call in on Skype IDs, JBland00. There's also the JBland Paranormal Soup Skype ID. And there's Soup Live Chat 800 Live Chat. Again, call in. Tell us, do you think you have experienced, maybe you've had a dream of a past life? Or have you had your own hypno regression into your past life? I'd love to hear that. Or you got a question for Chris? Call in. All right, let's get back to the last part of the show.
Are we there?
We are here.
Okay. Sorry, I laughed when I had my mic unmuted.
It's all right. It's all right.
One thing, just to quickly interject, because I didn't realize how fast the time goes by, is that what you had said is that this is a method of taking care of aches and pains. No medicine, no ongoing therapy, no surgery. I had a lady in New Orleans, New Zealand, came in. She could not raise her right hand past this. She was scheduled for an operation a month later. When she was leaving, she was laughing and trying to touch the lights.
Wow.
She canceled her operation. I had a lady with knee problems. She had 3 knee operations on each knee through the years. Did it help her? No. Turned out to be a past life. A lot of aches and pains are specific incidences from past lives, but sometimes it's called wear and tear, doing the same thing over and over and over. Like a lot of people have neck and shoulder problems. I've had many of them. Turned out they had been carrying yokes with pails of water up and down from the stream for constant. But what happened was it turned out she had been years ago, a large black lady in Africa washing clothes down by the Rocky River, kneeling on the knees. When she finished her session, she stood up and started doing knee bends. She hadn't done that for about 10 years, and it was fine. I saw her about 4 or 5 years later out in that area, and she said, "Remember me?" And I had to think for a moment. She said, "Knees." And I said, "How's your knees been?" She said, "They've been perfect, except on certain weather, the scar tissues on the operation she didn't need do get a little sore." So she never needed the operation. There's a lot of
That's so sad, though. That's so sad, though. To me, Chris, I mean, the only thing that makes me wonder about all this is it seems like there's an imperfection in the matrix. Sorry, but why we carry these things on, it seems like, how, like something's not right in the universe for that to be, like, for us to carry these things on like this. I mean, because most people are never going to get your therapy. You know that. I know that. Most people are going to know. They're going to go through their lives for it.
Solution.
Yeah.
I have a solution. Now, for the last 7 years, I do train people. Not very big classes, 2 to 5 people. And it's very intense. I teach them how to do what I do. I include the equipment, the headphones and the mic, stuff like that. They work on a script. I bring in volunteers for them to work on. After the training, there's a practicum. They have to do at least 10 sessions with friends and relatives, free. They get lots of volunteers, but it's free. Then I watch them over on Skype because they're not going to travel around the world to watch them or to visit. So I watch them on Skype to see how they're doing, because if they change it totally 100% backwards, they're not going to. I'm not going to recommend them. Whatever. So, and then another practicum, and then they get certified. And this can all be done. In fact, some of them are actually so quick they do this within 1 or 2 months, and they're right there making a living. You can make a living from what I do. You don't have to. You can starve and give it away. But what it is that, as I said, if you're working on about 10, 15 people a week, that's all you need to make a career. But the main thing that I love is the look on people's faces when they're sitting in the chair and I say, now move your knee around, and the look on the face like, wow, I haven't moved that leg like that for 5 years. That's such a beautiful feeling.
I bet.
Or getting up or doing knee bend, all kinds of stuff. It happens. It's not a matter of give it another 6 weeks. It happens within minutes. It may not be 100%. I use a scale of 0 to 10. 10 is the way their pain hurts. 0 is gone. Usually after the one session, it's about a 2 or 3. And that's fine, because that 2 or 3 will go down to about 0 over the next 2 or 3 days. Remember, when the subconscious does some more processing. Also, some of their muscle have been held tight for so long. But it's not like it goes down from 10 down to 9. It goes down to usually 2, sometimes 0. Now, my training it's actually 6 days, but it's long days. It's like starts in the morning, goes to night, but it's still not going to be tiring, because you can learn with hypnosis how to learn faster and more. Anyhow, and now I don't go all over the states doing this, because there's what do you call them, permit or visas and stuff like that, and you have to prove it. Nobody else can do this, which they can't. So what I do is that and I actually did have somebody come up from New Hampshire. I did the training in Windsor, just across the river. They fly up to, or they can fly up to Detroit, and they just take the shuttle across to Canada. Plus, you're paying. I take the fees in Canadian money, so with your dollar being higher, you save some money too. So, but I've already got people from Texas coming up, California. I've already got 4 or 5. New York City, she just confirmed that she's coming up. So I got a group going. So if anybody's interested in knowing about how to make a career, because I can't get everywhere. That's why I started training people after.
We do need more of you.
Yeah, more people doing what I do and following my script. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. The way I work, my system, it works fine. But come and learn it. I also add things like how to do better public speaking, because it's good to have to get more business by putting on some talks. There are people with the fear of public speaking. I get rid of that for them, so because I want my
not
students
my problem.
No, that's for sure. You did great, no matter what they said. Anyhow, joke. So I make sure that my students, and I do personal sessions with them too while they're there, to make sure they get rid of any tougher ones, because I've had a bit more practice with, so that when they're leaving, they're perfect. Headaches, for example. Migraines are I always should say, anybody here have migraines? And half the people have had migraines, and constant. Their past life. My brother hasn't had a migraine since 1997.
I almost want you to do my wife more than I want you to do me, because of her problems with fibromyalgia and migraines. When you keep bringing those up, I'm like, oh, my wife really needs this.
work with. Yeah, smoking, persistent people that can't quit. They're those last small percentage. It's past life also. There's
I would
lots
love
of
to know
stuff
that
there.
about me. I don't smoke cigarettes anymore, but I vape, and I know it's I am like fixated on oral.
Similar, yes.
What
So
is it
that.
that would make you from a past life though? I mean, is it just smoking in another past life, or is there something
Oh
else
yeah, oh
that?
yeah. See, okay, real quick. When I was younger, all my brothers and my mom and dad, all six of us smoked. It was a thing to do.
Yeah.
People like to be one of the crowd, accepted, so everybody smoked. But now, in Canada, the stats here are the percentage of people that still smoke is like about 19%. That's not the crowd anymore. Those are hardcore past life things. One of the examples is actually Native Indian. This one guy, it was an honor to be an elder, but they passed the peace pipe, and he hated it, but it was an honor. And he even felt in his current life that he felt like he earned the right to smoke. He said that really makes him feel bad because he didn't. When he saw that, quit smoking. So a lot of almost everything from past lives. The word is persistent, not something that just happens for a moment, but persistent aches, pains, fears, phobias. So the training. You notice I sent you the email address again on Facebook. Well, you put a thumbs up on it. Oh, somebody else did. Okay.
You did.
Oh, that's my thumbs up. It's not your thumbs. Oh, okay.
But let's make. I do want to make sure because I don't know if I put that in there, but I want to make sure the audience gets it. This is the one we want to give out, right?
Yeah.
CL at pastlife rap.com. PASTLIFERAP.com.
Now the rap is for like a little funny thing for regression and progression.
You gonna do a rap with that?
Yeah. Well, see, I also have the same email address with the full thing, but it's like past life regression and progression is so bloody. Excuse me, so long.
Too long.
We made it a short form, so it goes to the same website there. So CL, which stands for obviously Chris Lee, at pastliferap.com. Please get in touch with me. Talk about the training. Because I can either do it on Facebook thing or live or Skype, but we need more people out there. And this is so simple. So not only can you help people, so simple, and no ongoing therapy, and also make a living at it.
So for me, I'd be interested in learning how to do it. Do what you do. And maybe I feel like it's the little mad scientist in me and the selfishness in me, but it's to me what you're doing. What you're doing though is like you're getting a glimpse into. To me, there's something there. I can't put my finger on it or describe it totally, but these past lives and the reason we come back and all these things. It's the mechanism behind. It's the man behind the curtain. It's like I want to see, and every little person's story, every little past life makes me get a glimpse of that.
I've learned more about history from doing this. I didn't like history in school.
I love time travel. I'm a big fan of time travel stories, and that's to me, it's like time travel.
Book number 5 is gonna be called History, Fact, or Fiction.
Oh yeah.
I've had 16 people that have been on the Titanic.
Oh yeah.
And the stories they tell, a lot of them aren't as rosy as the history books do. I've also had a lot of people from.
I really want that book. I really do.
Knights Templars.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus Christ time. He was really a real person there. I've had some of them that were related to him. He did have a lot of relatives.
And maybe children?
Yes, he did. I don't get into that. He was actually married.
Yes.
And had quite a few children. I've met 3 of them.
That is, see, I know people could get offended, but I know exactly what you're talking about, and you might, like I never trust a religion, because, and I know I told you that dream told me that, but I've been fascinated by it at the same time. I've read about Buddhism and the Essenes and Christianity and early Christianity and all that, and Christianity, in my opinion, did believe in past lives before the major church took over.
Yeah, was that Constantinople or?
The Council of Nice or whatever.
No, it was not Constantinople. Anyhow, actually, interesting. Continue with that. Yes, they had a lot of references to reincarnation, but it was bad business. People didn't tithe the church because they didn't need to buy their way into heaven.
I'll just come back again. Who cares?
Yeah. Well, happened was there are still quotes in there. If somebody says that they believe in the Bible, I don't believe it. And I said, really, you believe in the Bible? Yes. Well, how come Jesus Christ is quoted in the Bible as saying that he believed that John the Baptist was the reincarnation of Isaiah the prophet?
Right, exactly. There's
Oh.
there's more references than just that. I mean, I
Oh, yeah.
in the Bible.
I got pages, yeah.
Yeah.
I could send them to you. But so what I'm saying is I really would like to get more people out there doing this, because it's just, it works so well. It's just that I can't get everywhere. So I do training. I still go on tours and stuff, but going to the UK for the spring for a couple months. Already got some places to go to there.
You know, one of the you see you run across. You know, I have to imagine this might come up in this book 5 of yours is Atlantis.
Oh yeah, I've got Atlantis and that other what's that other, not as well mentioned.
Lemuria.
Yes, yeah. I've got people more from Atlantis, but I've got a number of people from.
See, that's that inner workings and seeing the history in the past. I'd almost do I understand exactly why you charge. I'm not saying that, but I would almost do it for free just to get a glimpse of that. But I just buy your books.
Excellent. Well, we still got time. Do you have anybody else who had a question?
I don't know if I missed the chat room. I don't know if anybody has in the chat room. Sometimes we get people calling in at the very end. Sometimes we get to the end and it's late for people. But I don't have any phone calls right now. But there's something else I want to kind of get to. We talked a little bit before the show. Of course, doing this, you've run across some strange things, I'm sure, like alien abduction.
Yes,
coming up.
Yeah. I've had, I don't know, 5 or 6 people that said that they were alien abducted. One actually, I think it's in my book 1, is where they were walking, going home, and they got out of the car, and all of a sudden one of them disappeared and couldn't find her, and she showed up. I forget the exact details. One thing I have found though is that when people have that strong feeling they've been abducted, and when in the session they do start to describe a bit, but it doesn't get very detailed. It's almost like their mind's been blocked a lot. So
yeah, they've actually we've had alien abductees on here like Terry Lovelace, and yeah, there's definitely like they know what they're doing, and they try to put up blocks to keep people, and it takes many sessions sometimes to get through those blocks, screen memories and things like that. But this is Paranormal Soup. A reason I named this show that is because I believe all these paranormal things are connected, like aliens and the afterlife. And one of the things I've always been fascinated is what are the aliens' involvement in our afterlife? You wonder if have you had a past life regression where somebody encountered something alien in a past life?
I haven't really done that.
Well, if that comes up, I want to know about it because
anytime I think that I don't really like, I get, I do lots of these, and then when I think, well, that's about all there's nothing else coming up different, all of a sudden, as soon as I say, if somebody asks me, is it such that ever happened to you, or with sessions or what have you, and if I say no, I've learned now at least 6 or 7 times, within 2 or 3 days it happens.
Okay, you let me know.
Yeah. Well, one of the simple one though is just, does anybody ever need to go to the bathroom during a session? And I said no. The next guy the next morning, he went to the bathroom first. In the middle of it, he goes, I gotta go to the bathroom. And I'm going, oh good, you showed me that. One of the latest really nice ones, interesting, is that generally I was only working with people as young as 7 or 8. That's when the subconscious changes. But I guess they figured they had to show me something else, because this summer in Saskatchewan, a grandmother, I was looking for volunteers, so she volunteered, but she said, I got an interesting thing. My 5-year-old granddaughter, not like she's been around for a long time, has nightmares and doesn't really tell her mom. Her mom's actually the one that can't be touched, so I took care of that too. But the grandmother, she tells the grandmother, because the granddaughter sees her mom in this, so she doesn't want to talk to her mom. So I thought, well, I don't know, I've never worked with anybody that young, because they don't really hard to have them hold a thought, that kind of stuff. So I thought I'll give it a try. Well, cute little button. She sits on the couch with the grandma. People don't come in for sessions unless they're like kids. I let parents come in so it'd be more relaxed. So I did what I had done with kids 7 or 8 or 9, and I just went over the whole thing. What happened was I don't know. I couldn't tell whether it worked or not, but that was August this year. After she had a bit of a nightmare apparently that next night, and the last I heard from them, this is since August, she's never had a nightmare since.
But she's 5 years old. You don't know. They're so young. But were you able to like get her to like respond and say like she had this past life or?
Well, not really. Basically, I said I was told by your grandma that you have nightmares about people dying and stuff like that, and then I simply gave the suggestion that it's just your subconscious. You can let it go. A couple of those type of things. It seemed to work. No, like she doesn't have nightmares here. She was always waking up her mom. So if her mom says she hasn't had a nightmare since August, I believe her. But why did it work? I don't know. Yeah. But I mean, it showed me I can work with somebody 5 years old. Not everybody has. Kids have kids. What's that expression? Colicky babies. You ever heard of that?
Oh yeah, I was one.
They could have 5 kids. Only one is colicky.
Yeah.
I would get a strong feeling that that's because they came in with reoccurring dreams, nightmares.
Yeah, I was a colicky baby, so maybe I did.
You can't express yourself at 1 year old like, "Hello, I've got a nightmare." You just cry a lot.
But you wonder too. I mean, you hear the stories about people find out like the birthmarks they had were related to past life. So it's carried through our genetics in a way.
Yes, 100%. In fact, it's funny. I haven't thought of that for some time. I used to mention it in my talk. You may call it a birthmark a death mark.
Yeah,
because it's where you've been shot, stabbed, burnt.
Makes me wonder.
Oh yeah, any birthmarks. They're bullet holes, all kinds of. And it's weird. I had actually one person that said that they've lately found that they got a what do you call it in your head? Not a cyst. I don't like big words.
Some kind of cyst or tumor?
Yeah, a little tumor in the center of the head.
Yeah.
And it's not really affecting her much, but she described the size of it. I won't say what it was. Then I said, "Let yourself go and show where it came from." Turned out from the Prohibition days, it was there. They had stores that they would open up, but really they drank in the back. And there was a sort of a mafia type family, and one of the sons, he really hated doing that. He hated running this pub. Or speakeasy they call them. But one day he was outside and a rival gang came along and shot him from the car, and the bullet hit him right in the forehead.
Oh wow.
Okay. She described that the tumor or whatever it is in her head, the way she described it's the same size as a bullet.
Yeah. I've always wondered that when I've heard that, because I have these birthmarks that go like down my arms, like there's like these dots that go up like here, and they go down the arms. It's like a weird pattern. I've always like, what the heck is that? And of course on my chest, I'm like, if that's all death marks, man, what the heck happened to me, man? Because I got shot up or stabbed by something small and tiny. I don't know, but I have these weird ones. These things, it fascinates me.
Sandstorm?
Maybe, I don't know. I mean, there could be something possible. This is why I want to do it. It's such a look, and I also love I can't wait to read your books, because to me it is the look behind the curtain.
We'll work something out, Jason. Before
yeah, definitely.
Next one.
Zach stabbed you with an ice pick before you shot him.
Right, and set him on fire. Yeah, I got my revenge. But all these things. This is what it said. It's a glimpse into the workings of the universe, in my opinion, or at least with us as human beings, what we're doing, what we're here for. And I really want to thank you tonight for being on the show. I want to get that email out one more time. I'll let you do it so I don't screw it up.
CL@pastliferap.com. So PASTLIFERAP.com. So pastliferap.com.
And you have a website as well, don't you?
Yeah, it's called pastliferap.com.
Pastliferap.com. It's easy. Remember that. I'm going to check it out. I did have the website link in there.
People have the letters CL at Past Life is because it goes to that, it's from that website, yeah. But yes, get hold of me. If not, get hold of Jason, and he'll pass it on, because they need more people for training to get this done, get people out there. It is so simple, and it works. The only thing that has the stigma a little bit is the word past life. You see, like I said, at my talks, I usually almost get more female than male, because men, we're more practical, doesn't make sense, well, that kind of stuff. Yet men are not exempt from aches, pains, fears, and phobias, etc. Get over it. But so I stress, you can think you made it up. It doesn't matter. It still works. So if you're not sure, still do it.
I definitely want to have you back on the show, especially if we do a session together so we can talk about that. But I mean, there's topics we didn't even get into that I mentioned in the bio. We didn't even get into, like future lives. I really wanted to get into that. We didn't have time, and I knew we wouldn't. But that next time, we got to get into that next time. Thank you so much, Chris. This was an awesome show, and I had a really great time.
I'll be in Mexico for the 3 months there, but I've done 2 blog shows from Mexico.
Or definitely, it'll be a while. I'm booked into April now, people.
I'll be back in April.
Yeah. You only do one show a week. You can get booked up really quick. Speaking of next week, we'll be talking about voodoo with Hoodoo San Mosi. I don't know if I probably butchered that. Sorry. I'll get that right before the show. I'm the butcher of names. Thank you again, Chris. Guys, go to LateNightInTheMillionsRadioNetwork.com. Donate, subscribe, email Chris. Get that session. I honestly believe it. I really can't wait. I think this will, I think this is the kind of thing more people need to know about why I do the show. That these kind of things can really change your life, and we got to get the world more aware of it. Imagine how we could change the world, Chris, if people were doing what you were doing and it was more accepted. All right, thanks again, guys. Go to Late Night in the Millions Radio Network, donate, subscribe. Go check out Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup on our Facebook page. Go to mwpparanormalsoup.com for our website. Check us out on YouTube under Paranormal Soup and Jason Bland. Subscribe. We don't have any donations for the show yet, but we are working on something, and more stuff coming in the future for Paranormal Soup. Thanks again, guys. We'll see you next Sunday. Same bad time, same bad channel. Have a great week.